Here we go.
G'day fans and welcome back to another exciting episode, the last episode in fact of good old Rip It Off the Card for 2022. Can you believe it? So it's episode 43. That makes 86 hours worth of us gurgling on throughout the entire year. Very exciting stuff. We're finally in December. Christmas is in a handful of days. Mr. Aron, now that you're back in the saddle, how you going, old son?
I'm going okay. It's too busy to think at the moment. It's been a hot day, a busy day in the shop full of throbbing nerds talking about Christmas and collectables. I mean, what else could you want?
I'll tell you what, when it comes to throbbing, mate, I love it when nerds throb. Nerds throb, what can I say? It kind of gets me a tad excited, if you know what I mean. I like this one. I've got a few people joining us already. Good old Mary Bar Humbug. Yeah, exactly right. It is all very good, very, very exciting. As I said, yeah, it's not only our Christmas episode, but it's our last one for the year. So we've actually done a lot of episodes, a lot of topics, and a lot of things, a lot of gurgling, a lot of Greg kinging, a lot of vile filing, a lot of news, a lot of stuff. And I guess it's an interesting sort of way to finish the year off. Now, of course, we missed an episode 2 weeks. Actually, sorry, 2 weeks ago, there was an episode on. We got cut off halfway through. So for those who are watching this who isn't aware of what's happened, so we were broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch like we always do. And our Facebook feed cut off 1 hour into the show. It just dropped off, right? And we didn't know what happened. It turned out it wasn't our fault. I didn't press a button I wasn't supposed to press or anything like that. Or Aaron didn't sneeze and broke the entire internet. It turned out our host, if you will, StreamYard, sent us a message saying, yeah, Facebook kind of cocked up. Sorry about that, Chief. Too bad, so sad, which is a bit of a pity because it was a really good episode where we were talking about our fandom history. But if you're watching this now and were impacted by that broadcast a couple of weeks ago, it wasn't our fault. But you can watch the replay of it on our YouTube channel if you wish to. What do you reckon, dude?
Of course, it's the Murphy's Law thing where 41 episodes of the year, we don't rely on, interaction. We have the shows ready to go. The one episode we go, okay, we're going to take questions. That's the one the feed goes down. It's Murphy's Law.
You're right. Absolutely. Colin, you're right. It is Ronnie playing the role of the Christmas Grinch, not the Ginch. So, yes, a lot of gurgling. Well, gurgling is what we do. And, in fact, you're going to get more of it throughout this entire episode too. Huh?
Gurgling and throbbing. This is going to be a good episode, isn't it?
Absolutely fantastic. Wolf has said Merry Christmas to dude and dudettes. I think it's dudes here. There could be dudettes hiding under the covers. You never know. But it's all very good and a very Ronnie Christmas. I love everybody loves Ronnie. Ronnie, the guy who never delivers anything, but everybody loves him. And yes, very good stuff. Now, just be aware. Of course, this is our last show, so we're not going to be in a hurry to get through it all. So if you're like Aaron and you got the roast cooking in the dinner, it might end up burning because we might just drag it out a little bit. You never know. And in particular, I just wanted to point out because there are a few people who might be watching this who don't actually know what the big deal is with this show and you in particular. And, of course, that is because Christmas is coming. You've got your own shop, mate, your own collectible store. So do a bit of a quick promo as to what you've got, son.
We've got everything. We've got everything you'd need for all your nerdy Christmas needs. We've got Marvel, DC, Star Wars, Doctor Who, vintage, modern, comics, figures, records, just everything you could imagine. You don't need to shop anywhere else. And we do gift vouchers.
Very good stuff. So if you get a chance, be sure to check out the store. And it is open, obviously, on Friday and Christmas Eve, which is on a Saturday. So both Aaron and myself will be there. So if you want to come along and not only just join the Christmas festivities that is going on currently and you want to talk a bit of nerdy stuff, then by all means, come on in because we encourage a bit of the old chatting. So there's nothing like it. It's absolutely fantastic.
And the one thing that happens every Christmas is someone will come in and go, that figure I saw 6 months ago, I've come in to get it. It's for someone for Christmas tomorrow. And you go, you should have bought it 6 months ago because that's when it's sold. That is going to be all our conversations on Saturday.
Or ironically, it got sold the day prior. Joe said, wait, Aaron has a shop. I tell you what, it's not just any old shop. It is the store of stores, which is a very, very gribby. Now, last Saturday, for those who aren't aware, we announced a few weeks ago that we're having a bit of a special Sci-Fi Zone Christmas dinner celebratory thing for people who had been watching our shows throughout the year. As it turned out, we had a huge influx of attendees. They all just signed up really, really quickly. We ran out of space almost immediately, signed up 20 people. We had 18 turn up, including Aaron and myself. So we're a couple of happy snaps taken that day. which is particularly cool. So we had it at the Matthew Flinders Hotel. So we got some pictures for Prosperity, which is kind of groovy, and a lot of people joined us and hopefully had a good time and had some good meals. As always with Nerds, we ended up staying to the point where there's about 7 of us left and the place was shutting down and the whole place is empty except for us. And I think we got the hint that we had to leave. But of course, the most important person who turned up for the entire evening wasn't the people on the table who were sitting there having a meal. Of course, it was the good old Spankin made an appearance. How good is that, Mr. Aron?
He did. And then the day after, Dags is like worriedly texting me, did Spankin make it home? Did Spankin make it home? Yes, he's back home with me, Spankin.
And what does Spankin do for a living? He does this. Absolutely fantastic. And the thing that freaked me out is I forgot how small Spankin is. He's only like this big. In the video, he looks gigantic. So, yes, but I was a bit concerned. I'm not worried about anything else. Did anybody else make it home? Has nobody got COVID or anything like that? No. I got home and go, shit, did Aron pick up the Spankin? Never leave your Spankin. What can I say? Hey, very, very cool. What do you reckon, dude?
Yep, Joe said, awesome, Aron, with the Docky Who show badge. If I can quickly indulge, Joe, have you ever seen this one? This is a new show badge that turned up. I don't know if you've seen the BMX show bag, BMX Australia. So that came into the shop. There you go.
All right, quick question. Here we go. Trivia question. What does BMX stand for?
I'm not sure. Motocross. Something.
Bicycle motocross. Very, very good. And by the way, where are we? Joe, mate, get your spelling right. It's DOCKY. Didn't you see the logo that got posted during the week? Not Dossy Who, it's Docky Who. Love it. Very, very good. All right, so that was the dinner last week. It was very successful, and hopefully everybody had a good time and enjoyed themselves. But it is time for us to move on to the show itself. Otherwise, we'll never get stuff done. And has been the custom over the past few weeks, except for the past 2 weeks, obviously, is a bit of an estate update from the deceased estate. Mr. Aron, what's been going on?
I know. So even though it's been a couple of weeks, I'm still dragging stuff out of the estate that is amazingly awesome, interesting, and probably historically important as well. So there's a bit of an update. There's different things again, stuff I'm sure will bring back some memories for some people and have other people scratching their head going, well, why do you even care about this crap? So, yeah.
Very good.
So the first thing and the primary reason I want to get as much out of this estate as possible is the old media that has been found. And you can see here, I'm still pulling out an amazing lot of recorded media. He recorded literally, I'm not making stuff up here, tens of thousands of tapes off of TV. We're talking reel-to-reel, pneumatic tapes, VHS, beta, and then burning stuff and dead guys' undies. This is absolutely true. But, they're not on this episode. But I've got most of the videos. I'm still turning some up, and there's some particularly cool ones we're going to have a look at in this episode. But I'm still finding thousands and thousands of burnt tapes of all different formats. So CDVs, DVDs, and data tapes. You've got hard drives and USB sticks. So if there's anything missing, we'll report straight away as soon as it's found. But I think it's actually going to take years to get through all this stuff.
Very good stuff. Guy said his undies are not up for discussion. Oh, yes, they are. Anyway, good stuff. Very, very groovy. I was watching a replay of last year's show just to sort of compare to what we're going to be doing tonight. And I keep saying, how good is that? And this is just... It shits me, the fact I keep repeating myself, saying the same thing over and over. So I do apologize. A year later, and I still haven't improved. What can I say?
Oh, how good is that?
Hey?
How good is that?
Yes, exactly right. Very, very good. There you go. I'm just saying that again too. Just think of the advertising that wasn't archived then on those tapes. Well, exactly right. Well, with that in mind, there's a little bit of this coming up.
So one of the more interesting things I found, this was on a data stick, was a 1985 episode of Countdown. So sometimes on Rage they repeat countdowns. I don't know if this is a repeated one because it doesn't have a watermark on. All the stuff that's currently on the ABC tends to have an ABC watermark, and this one didn't, and it was on one of the data sticks. And if it was recorded and doesn't have a watermark, it probably was something that he's upgraded from another format, because he wouldn't have been recording stuff digitally in 85 when it was on. But you can see it's classic episode where you've got like Huey Lewis and the News at #1. You've got Molly Meldrum with Vince Sorrenti, which is one of Australia's top performers for anyone who's not sure who that is. And new videos from the Time Bandits. So what do you think of that, Dags?
I'm just thinking how young Molly Meldrum looks. It's like you just forget, don't you? And it was Countdown was definitely an institution for back in the ABC days, and that is particularly groovy. So yeah, love
Yeah,
it.
so I haven't looked at a lot of the stuff because I just don't have time. But that was one of the more interesting things I found on the USB sticks.
Very good. I'm going to make a change to our format while we're right in the middle of a talk. I'm going to get you to just push your screen back. I realise I've got you up a little bit too high. Just back. That's it. That'll do. Oh, well, thank you, sir. My fault.
Yep.
All right. Very, very good. Now, of course, a lot of the old stuff that you found has a lot of historical value, and this is a good example of that.
Yeah, so there's some magazines here, and today I'm going to look at some of the Australian magazines, which I had just never seen before. Your Free TV magazine, with a very baby-faced Ray Martin on that one, but it has a free Kiss pull-out poster, and it's one of those things where there was an era in Kiss where there was no longer the cat and there was Eric Carr as the fox, and he's got the main picture in this pull-out poster, which is really unusual because he wasn't one of the big members of the band at the time. And the other interesting thing on the top there, we did a Shell's Neighborhood, after school collectables thing a couple of weeks ago, and it was noticeable how very little material there is online about Shell's Neighborhood. No pictures, no articles, nothing, just a couple of the same off-screen shots. And in this magazine, there was an article on Shell's Neighborhood. I don't know if you would remember the old army sort of join the army where they go in tanks and find a yabby and stuff. This was probably filmed at the same time because it was the same kind of article, but that article doubles the amount of Shell's Neighborhood pictures I could find online. So that's a pretty interesting find right there.
So for those who can't read it, it's September the 10th, 1980. And you think, looking at a baby face Ray Martin is one thing, but this is old when one of the articles is Audrey Hepburn's new romance. Oh, bloody hell. That's in the Wayback Machine, isn't it? So very, very cool. I love it. Now, of course, this is interesting because as mentioned here, you're talking about the different formats that the guy recorded things on. And as Mark said, he may have been converting his stuff from old media changed over. One of the things that we do tend to forget is there were media wars back in the day, different formats, brand new technology coming into play and people having to adapt and accept and what's going to happen with it all. And of course, we're seeing all these all these ads and discussions about what to go with. Look at that. I love that one on the bottom, VHS Beta and Grundig. How's that?
Well, I tell you which one failed the quickest out of those three. Can you guess, Dags?
Probably under what price, I'm guessing.
I didn't even know Grundig was a unique system. Is that V2000 or something totally unique? It must have died in the ass pretty fast, though.
I'm going to take a guess, and this is a wild guess. Grundig sounds like German. And of course, they had West Germany and East Germany at that point because they were still separated. I wouldn't be surprised if Grundig was a proprietary system for one of those two countries. That's just plucking rabbits out of hats. But I love the ads, though. Which system do you go with?
I know. It's crazy. Everybody knows. Beta. Come on. And then you've got Daryl Summers' Video and Communication magazine, which was another magazine I'd never heard of, and one of those things which is probably uniquely Australian. Underneath, you've got a brand of tape I hadn't heard of, proudly made in Australia. But the best one of all is that Olivia Newton-John cover for, again, Australian Video Review. And the cool thing about that magazine has an article about piracy of a certain movie, Dags. Can you guess what that movie would be?
Oh, no.
Star Wars. I don't know.
Star Wars. I was going to say that, but I thought that's just too obvious. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you remember, Star Wars was one of the most pirated movies. Do you remember George Lucas said it will never be shown on television? It'll never come out on video. And so everyone goes, right. And they recorded it in the cinemas and bootlegs were being sold around. And this has an article on that, which is one of the earliest, I guess, articles on piracy and Star Wars in a video magazine in Australia ever, if not the first one ever.
A good question here, and I think most people already know the answer. Moneybag Sullivan said, "Why did VHS win when Beta was the better format?" And you are right, Beta was the better format visually, but VHS won because of the pornography industry. They opted to go with it, and who would have thought at the time? And that's what killed Beta. So because you used to go to the video store, and it was like, we're talking about East and West Germany. It was like the Berlin Wall down the middle of the store, Beta on one side and VHS on the other. Never the twain shall meet. The adult film industry had to decide which format they were going with. They went with VHS, even though Beta is still used in a professional format. Betamax is still around, but it just died in the. I'm going to say died in the ass.
Well, one of the things I was really surprised about, if you look at the covers of those magazines, all the magazines we're going to look at, they look at pretty family-friendly magazines, and they would have been ones that were just available at the newsagents, but each one of them does have a adult magazine, adult video section, which I didn't put any up. If we were going to ever do a rip it off the card after dark, you probably could, but there obviously was money in the magazines from the advertising from pornography. So it's quite surprising. You're reading an article on the Muppets, and then the next page is a full picture for Electric Blue magazine, like video kind of thing, which really jars.
Joe said, didn't the German adult film industry bet on Grundig? If it was East Germany, you can see why it failed. So now the funny thing is, now, of course, we know this, you know this, I know this. Younger people would have no idea. But of course, when video started to come into play in the mid-'80s, every second store that got invented was a video shop. They were everywhere, right?
Yeah.
It was long before the Video Easies and the big interchange like Blockbuster and whatever else. All these independent companies came out. And of course, as you mentioned, all the magazines came out. It went completely chopper. Now, I'm going to show you this picture out there. See where your eye gets drawn first. Is it going to be the bottom left of the corner or the bottom right? Be honest, what's the first thing you look at when I show you this?
Well, I think even Kermit the Frog is ignoring Miss Piggy, isn't he?
Oh, Jesus. What's the deal with the Danny Minogue? Hang on. What's the deal with the Danny Minogue picture on the bottom right? What's the go with that?
I don't think it's Danny Minogue. It's just it's just part of the video review magazines. Like I said, a lot of the obviously when video was a new format, one of the reasons they sold so well.
Hang on. I'm going to cut you off. Dude, so is it like how you buy a Chico roll? You say, oh, I'll get this really hot babe in wearing a bikini holding a laser disc. Therefore, I've got to go and buy myself a laser disc player because does it come with a girl too? Unbelievable.
Yeah. And that was a part of what was driving the video industry, adult tapes. So there is in all the magazines, even you can see the covers there are the Wombles, Frankenstein, Miss Piggy and the Muppets, Flash Gordon. But like a big section of each of the videos is devoted to mail order adult tapes. And we'll see as we go forward, there's adverts for different, particularly what one Australian sort of personality was renowned for being Mr. Video himself. But I tell you what, the adult industry gave him a run for his money on how much advertising was in these magazines.
Now, I'm a bit disappointed by the audience, right? They've all said different things. It was, oh, Frankenstein. Oh, it's Flash Gordon. Oh, it's Kermit and Miss Piggy. Oh, it's the chick in the bottom right-hand corner. No one has looked at the video recorder here and gone, oh, my God, it's the JVC VCR that's really pushed my buttons.
Well, I can tell you the pictures of the hardware in these magazines were making me drool. There is some amazing stuff that I haven't seen pictures of for ages because there are no magazines with them in. Even researching this, I Googled it, and there's pictures of 2 of these magazines online, and that is it. This is a really forgotten Australian publication.
I was just thinking about the Laserdisc thing. The manufacturing company said, well, that looks as boring as batshit. It's a big ass CD, which CDs had just been invented at that point. And go, how the hell are we going to sell this? I know, put a babe in the picture. It's like she turns up wearing these like a big overcoat. They go, nah, get the gear off. We need a naked chick, a semi-naked chick holding the disc. That'll sell. That's how marketing people would have thought back then. So, hey, worked on motorcycle magazines on their covers for years. So,
yeah. Well,
crazy.
It is. Again, there was too much to document, and we have gone through this quite a bit. There are so many ads, and it has a catchphrase like now so light a lady can carry it around, and you have like a model carrying one of those massive camcorders holding the battery pack and everything, and you're like, she got one picture that was nice because as soon as she took that picture, it's like, oh, because it would have been just so heavy.
I'll tell you what, once they invented video cameras, they used to put the tape into it, like the VHS tape, and it had its own battery pack, almost like the world was your oyster. Suddenly there was no cables anywhere. Mark has made a point of saying he was a TV tech in a previous career and used to repair VHS and Beta in pneumatics. Beta was not very common in the shop as VHS had won the war. Yeah, unfortunately, whenever anybody ever invents a format, there's a competing format almost straight away, right? We saw it with Blu-ray and HD DVD. Someone has to lose. It's just the way it goes. Whether it be Ford and Holden, there's never the world can't exist with two. Somebody has to win. And it was just funny how you end up with two formats at exactly the same time that were competing against each other. And it's just like never going to end well. So
Beta didn't lose. What happened? The estate that I'm going to, the guy there bought all 20,000 Beta tapes that were in the country, and they just disappeared into that house. So
yeah,
that's where Beta went.
yeah, and it is funny because, as you know, and there would be people out there still have Beta tapes, Beta machines, probably buried away somewhere. Laser discs are still popular. Not many of them around. It was very, very big in the US. But anyway, we move on. Otherwise, we'll never get to where we got to go.
So these are interesting because that is a advert for Star Wars, the videotape coming out. I had never seen that advert before. I don't know if it's one that you have seen or remember, Dags.
Sorry, I was reading a comment. What was the question?
Have you seen that advert for Star Wars coming out on video? That was one I had never seen before. In the middle there, you have the article I was talking about the Star Wars tape being pirated and the biggest pirated tape ever. But I have got to read this advert that's on the other side. Sickness, music, filth, transvestites.
You missed two. I'll get it for you. Hang on, I'll do it for you. Yeah, put a bit of excitement in there. Sickness, music, filth, guts, transvestites, entrails, madness, sex, culture, drugs, perversion, and violence, and Gary Newman.
Well, I don't know where the Gary Newman came from, but that's absolutely hilarious, really, isn't it? I mean, they've got all of this thing in Eraserhead and Divine's movies and all these other things, and Gary Newman.
So he clearly doesn't fit into the category of all the others. Now, Christy's asked a good question. Has any product ever come with a girl too? I tell you what, if they did, you would have sold 50 billion Chico rolls, 100 million motorcycles in no time. Absolutely.
You've got to be careful when you order those products because they come and sometimes it's an inflatable boy instead of the inflatable girl that you ordered.
And as the old saying goes, they never look like their picture. So, no, not Gary Newman. Absolutely love it. That was particularly cool. But that was an interesting sort of ad, and that alone would be enough for people to go, "Oh, mate, I've got to get me some, filth." Actually, that's a good ad for the vial. Yeah. After all that, you say, "And be violated" at the end. Love it. Yes, sounds like the vial file. Magnificent. You are right. There's a lot of stuff that is definitely not safe for today. I mean, dare I say, in this modern day and age, there's a lot of like touchy-feely and things back in the day just would have people rolling over big time. Anyway, we'll move on.
So, because it was the early days of video, just don't order the paper.
Did that with a Maltese budgie.
Because it was the early days of video, you would find any old video got a 4-page color ad because they were just pushing everything. So you'll get this double-page ad, which I think is very cool for American Werewolf in London, which a lot of horror people would love to see. And then there'd be other color ads for Bloodblade and Pranks, which are movies I've just never heard of. And you'd have 10 choices to one, and 2 of the movies are good and the rest of the choices are bad. And don't you love this article I found, which is film versus video, which is better? I mean, there is no question film, but it's one of those things where in the early days of video, they were really pushing, that's a pneumatic tape, better than film. Go with the video.
Well, it's a good point. And you are right. Film is always better than video. But one thing that video had going forward, it was cheaper. And as we know, and we've discussed, a lot of TV series, or not a lot, some did, deliberately went from film to video because it was quicker. Twilight Zone is the first thing that springs to mind from the original 1950s because it was a cheap format and it worked well for them. They still got the material, but the footage didn't look as good. but a lot of people have said, hey, save the money, just use the damn thing and be done with it. In the 1970s, Roddy McDowall was converting a lot of films from film to video, thinking it was going to last forever, because everybody did think that at the time. So, and there are stories of people who got into filmmaking through video only, because they realized once they could stick their camcorders on and they didn't have to buy film and process film, they can make things a shitload cheaper than they could if they tried to use proper production. So the answer is, you are right, pure quality, film all the way. But it depends on how you're asking the question. Are you asking it from a quality perspective or a budgetary, it's like convenient perspective and whatever else? So in some cases, video does actually work out depending on your perspective. So, but yeah, it was revolutionary at the time. And as I mentioned earlier, once you had the handy cams and the camcorders and you put the tape into the camera, mate, you were off and running. Not like having to carry a second unit like you used to do. So yeah.
And you can record over video as well, where film is one shot medium.
That's a good point. And how often did you suddenly start seeing video cameras at events, whether they be personal events like weddings or even a lot of fan events? Rusky Babes was carrying a video camera around for freaking decades. But the fact you can put the tape in the thing and just press record, boom, done. How good is that? Can't do that with film. So, yes, it's checks and balances in the grand scheme of things. Very good. I love these ads. These are grouse.
So these were, I had to put these. I don't know how many people will remember Riley Bishop, Mr. Video, Entertain Us, Mr. Video, but through all of the Australian magazines I got, he was obviously the one pumping the advertising dollars into them and having full page ads and multiple ads on rentals and renting videos and cameras, and how he had the biggest video libraries. And it is really interesting to map the I guess the history of video libraries in Australia, where the very early ones, do you know you could join a video library for as little as $100 a month? So you could hire as many videos you wanted, but it was $100 a month to be a member. And then it went down to sort of a one-off joining fee, and then you paid as you went along, which might be $10 a night. And then as more video shops opened, it got cheaper and cheaper. But the one I loved the most, I don't remember it, but it was an Australian one. Apparently it was an area, it was in Sydney and Melbourne, was that Barbarian one there, which proudly boasts every cassette on the on display is available for rent. So if they haven't got it, it's not there. But it is just funny to see how we were a video rental culture, where every single littlest suburban shops would have the local video library, and they were around for 20 years. They appeared everywhere, and then they slowly disappeared to the point where there's only one or two left in Australia now.
I love the fact almost 1,000 titles, right? And you think by today's standards, that's hardly anything. But back then it was a bit of a big deal. And having multiple membership cards to video libraries was like credit cards to a large degree. Very few people were just with one. You go to one store and you go, have you got this movie? No, I'll go and join up these guys over here. And then, but then you go to another one over there and another one over there, and you sort of jumped around. It was a great time to be a part of, because you got to see all these things that you never got to see at home, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, it was, if the cinema, suddenly you could just hire it and put it on. It was like absolute media freedom, which is very cool. And I was just thinking too, when I was talking about the whole handycam thing, I was thinking, what was before that? And of course, it was the old Super 8 cameras and all the sort of business. Still had to get them processed. So you still had the same problem, even if the technology was a little cheaper than the bigger, more expensive stuff. So yeah, it was a good time to be around. And I don't know anybody who said, I owned a video library, you know, a little independent one, did well for years and years. And as you said, just died in the ass. So yeah. That's why things like Stranger Things is a good show to watch, because it's set in the 80s and there's actually a sequence where they've got the couple, the guy and the girl, working in a video store. It's like, oh, duh, brings back all these memories. Love it.
It's crazy, but it is a really good time, and that's why it's been really interesting going through all of this, because there are some crazy stuff. That issue 1 of Australian Video Review had a list of every title that was available in Australia, and it was 2 pages. So there was maybe 400 titles, and that was it, right at the beginning of video rentals.
Love it. Kelvin remembers Riley Bishop. Say, I didn't. I thought, I had to really strain my brain on that one. You're right. There were those in town that charged a big fee, and as Moneybag said, $100 a month was a huge cost. It's true. He can remember when he got his first VHS recorder. I certainly can. Do you remember when you got your first VHS recorder, whether it be with the family or yourself?
It was a beta, and I got it because Doctor Who was on and I couldn't watch it. And I said, well, we're going to have to buy a video recorder, or I was in a play, and I said, I'm not doing the play.
I think a lot of people actually bought VCRs just so they could, something they wanted to record. And they said, I've got to get a video recorder just for that. And I did that.
Yep.
And it was the TV series Masquerade, had Kirstie Alley in it, had the hots for her. Got to get a VCR. $800 and freaking dollars it was, or something rubbish like that. And of course, you had the original, the top loaders, right, which were a pain in the ass because you had to put them on top of something. But once you got the front loaders, you go, beauty, I can put this really, really small space in the cabinet. Nice.
Well, you can tell how society's changed because, do you know, in these magazines, it told you what was the event that you would think most people bought a video for, or if they had a video, they recorded the sell through. It's a pretty big event, and it makes sense. It was Charles and Diana's wedding.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
People bought a video recorder so they could record it and keep it forever. Crazy.
Fascinating bedtime viewing. Marcus said, I remember going to your local video store as a kid and seeing the new release VHS to buy over $100. Yeah, that's back then. Tapes did cost that. And I think the first time I got to see tapes really cheap was when like McDonald's or somebody was selling them for $20. I go, Jesus, who would have thought that? Tarantino used to work in a video library. He certainly did. And as he used to say, he did not go to film school. He just went to films. Learned everything from that, which I thought was very, very gribby. The weekly deals, oh, they were awesome, especially as time went on. 7 movies for $7, you know, for having for a week, and you'd be just walking out with a whole arm of all these plastic things. You go, mate, what are we going to watch tonight? And in some occasions, you get like 7 for $7, but you only pick 6, and you go, what am I going to pick as the 7th? There's nothing I want.
Well, me and a friend, we were particular video addicts, and every Friday night we got a new release for $5 and then 5 weeklies for $5, so $10, and we would watch them overnight and take them back the next day and do it again and get like another $5 new release and 5. And we went through just about every movie in the video library doing that.
Jeez, Ange got his 1980 $2,000. Oh, gee, you did start early, Ange. You must be like right at cutting edge at the time. I like this one. Moneybag said he had a top loader. I had a friend of mine who had an Akai. Oh, gee, it wasn't just soft touch button thing, top loader. Oh, wasn't that the coolest thing in the entire universe? Greg still has his original VCR. That is very, very cool. I like this one. The VCR lasted longer than their marriage. In some cases, that was the case. So, yes, we've set off a bit of a chain reaction here with all the comments. People are just like getting into the history of their mind. We're going to run over because it's our last episode of the year. Just deal with it, guys. So there you go. Love it. Grandfather bought a TV after the Queen Elizabeth II coronation. Jeepers creepers. Absolutely fantastic. Anyway, so, of course, with the VCR had to be the tapes. And what tapes went in them?
So from this estate, like I said, I have found tens of thousands of tapes, but these are the most unique ones I have found. And anything recorded on fluoro clear tapes like that has got to have been better. Even though TIAC was a notoriously dodgy brand, I remember TIAC was the cheap and nasty ones that you could get down the markets for 10 for $20 sometimes. But do you remember these fluoro tapes at all, Dags?
No, it doesn't ring any bells at all. Most of the tapes I ever saw were all black, just plain black ones. But yeah.
So most of what I have saved from this collection, I have sent up to Canberra. But you know what? I've got to keep some of the fluoro tapes, haven't I?
Oh, hang on, wrong button. Sorry.
No problem. So they are. I found two boxes of them. One were E240 4 hours, and one were 3 hours. And there's all different fluoro ones from the ice blue to the day glow orange and purples and stuff like that. So they were one of the few things that I've like. Do you know what? I'll check what's on them when I get a chance. But I think those couple of dozen I'll end up keeping just because of the uniqueness of the tape, and also to find the original packing tapes that they came in, the boxes, and then they're in one room, and then going through another room weeks later, actually finding the tapes that go with the boxes. It really just show how this guy just hoarded and kept everything.
I like the
Dags.
We do. And I like what Chrissy said about picking the 7, and you pick 8 and you've got to give 1 back. And there was a good question. Oh, hang on. Dave, just sit tight for a sec. Hang on. Well, this is important, right? Just hold on. And I agree with you, Rusky Babes. The great thing about the Dollar Week movies is you got to see a lot of weird movies you'd never get to see normally. And a lot of movies got exposure because of that, which, of course, does not happen today. So,
yeah.
All right. So you want to do something crazy. Is that right? So hang on. I'll see if I can give you get the right screen sorted out because I kind of balls it up before. Here we go. That's what I wanted to do. Now, what are you doing, mate? You're sort of like destroying stuff again.
I'm not destroying stuff. I got me another one.
Got me another one. Oh no, don't do it, dude. What are you doing? Oh, it's already open.
Yeah.
You've already pre-opened it. Oh, there you go.
Well, last night it was a bit of a schmozzle trying to cut it open, so I already cut it.
Yeah, and
Will I get 2 I need?
And
they are both ones I need, so it was worthwhile.
Oh, look at that. Now, fans, you're going to say this is one we prepared earlier, is that right?
Well, I'll show you something else. I don't know if anyone remembers these. These I'm not going to open. These are the Ewok collectible card game.
Oh,
but
mate, you can't wuss out. Hang on, you can't wuss out on us now. Good old Indy Jones gets open, but good, the Ewoks stay closed. What's the deal with that?
I don't collect the Ewok ones. I don't need to open it. So, but there were them, and there was also these other amazing ones that haven't been opened. They're the Kellogg's Monopoly game. Yes, before McDonald's were doing Monopoly, Kellogg's were doing Monopoly, and you could open them for prizes. And I'm not going to bother opening those ones either. So yes, there's still amazing stuff in this collection that's quite historic and very plugged into the pop culture of the time.
Very good stuff. I just love the whole chat about the VC. Oh, it's just people have been discussing their collections and history, and there's some good stuff there about videos, which is very groovy. It's all part of our history. It's a good part of our history, but unfortunately, it's now a dead part of history. But with that in mind, let us move on. We've spent like over half an hour yapping on about got the bloody video. So let's get something. This segment will be over before you know it, because it's
Useless Pop of the Week!
Now, of course, we couldn't think of anything that was useless this week because Aaron's been busy doing stuff, and we thought, what's the most useless pop of the week, if not the year? Of course, it has to be the Pops of Us, which the Vile designed all those months ago. But there was one that did stand out. You might remember it was what was it? It was the
Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, it was a pink Winnie the Pooh. That's right. Aaron whipped up this picture, but so it was a flocked one, wasn't it? It was just a pink one.
Yeah, it was pink and flocked.
Yeah,
it's definitely, it's definitely a flocked pop.
Exactly, and it was so useless. You actually said, "Oh, it needed to be sort of attacked by the old predator," and of course, that's exactly what happens. There you go. What do you reckon?
So yeah, if you need a useless pop of the year, this is it. And we've given it to the predator. He's skinned it and hung it upside down. So our albino flocked Winnie the Pooh is our useless flock and pop of the year.
Flock and popping. I absolutely love it. There you go. Joe said a video thing was a nice little discussion. If we weren't running to a schedule, we'd probably keep it going. But all good fun. And I do like the fact there was a comment here. Anybody thinks that you and I look like elves on a shelf? Okay, make of that what you will. So
no, we're the nerds in the herd.
I like that. And you are right, Joe. Any pop is the useless pop of the week. Totally agree with you. Very good. You do need to bleed the bear. Cop that if you don't mind, umpire. All right. Now, of course, this one people have been hanging out for. They've discussed the poor bastard already. Is the coolest dude on this show, even though he's not actually on the show. Got to be time for a little bit of this. So, Mr. Ronnie and you, it's the bromance that just keeps going and going and going. Is that right there, Mr. Aaron?
Well, at the moment, I am catfishing Ronnie because I am writing to him pretending that I am the sole Greg King, because Ronnie stopped answering me as soon as he got all my money and my credit. Nothing's turned up and nothing was getting replied. So I wrote to him as the sole Greg King. And what would you believe it? Ronnie wrote back thinking it was Greg King that he was speaking to.
Very good. And of course, this particular segment, because it is in December, it is, of course, the Greg King's Christmas crackers. Okay. And if for people who remember at the dinner, we actually made a crown of crackers, which was for shameful comments, which was the case with one of our attendees. So the old Greg King's Christmas crackers, mate. So, and as it mentioned there, will you be able to stuff your stocking, or will it just be a disappointing bang and a Dags joke? So we shall have to find out. What do you think, dude?
I think we all know it's going to be a disappointing.
Oh, there's an extra video. I didn't know there was another video there. So there you go. So there's actually one video on top of another video. Hopefully it plays again. So it's time for this. Very good. Was it worth it? Probably not. All right. So there you go. All right. So you've had a bit of correspondence with Mr. Ronnie as the sole Greg King. Is that right?
Yeah, so I posed as Greg King and told Ronnie I was giving him his yearly review, and it's 12 months of shame, and that's for sure.
I like this one. Yeah, but using the same email address. Is that the case? You've been using the same email address?
Well, no, I used a different email address.
Very good. Yes, this is Aaron's second email address at gmail.com. So,
No, actually, when I first posed as Greg King, I used the same email address, and then I realized that was a bit, even Ronnie must have thought something was up, so I used a different email address after that, but he seems to have just gone along with it. I don't know if Ronnie is really dumb or really smart and just goes along with what we do to get as much money out of us as possible. Probably B.
All right, very good. All right, so this is the Soul Greg King, what he had to say to Ronnie, and at the bottom, we will reveal just quickly what Ronnie had to say in response. So go for it, dude.
Dear Ronnie, I have been doing your yearly review to decide if you are naughty or nice, and it looks like you are in the naughty corner for Christmas. Can you please explain the 12 months of shameful service, Greg King?
So what do you reckon Ronnie had to say about that? Do you reckon he apologised and he said, yeah, sorry about that, we kind of screwed up along the way? Or did he say this?
Dear Soul Greg King, I am not in any naughty corner, even edge of wall. What do you mean by this? What do you mean by 12 months of shameful service?
So it's interesting to note. Now, this segment has been going for quite some time. Not everybody who's watching this show will remember how far back it all goes. But Aaron put together a list of the things that were ordered and did turn up or didn't turn up. And there was a few things that when you look at it, you go, yeah, they kind of screwed the pooch more than they did things really, really well. But let's have a quick look, a summary review of some of the things that you ordered and what you got, Mr. Aaron. So off you go, son.
Dear Ronnie, let's have a look at this year in review. Vigo painting was not bad, but Jimmy the Flute was not good. So we got the Vigo, the Carpathian painting. That was actually an impressive piece. It actually looks really good. Jimmy the Flute, the ad looked really good, like a metal flute. And when we got it, you couldn't even play it. It's this solid piece of resin and it's pretty crap. So you've got a good item and a bad item straight off the bat there.
Cool.
The headpiece to the staff of Ra were nice. They were actually nice. I think we've ordered 4 of them now and sold 2 of them out of the original one that we got. We thought would be dodgy, and it's actually 5 because we did order one last year and it was quite good. But then the Hellraiser puzzle cube came, and that was just a crap block of wood. And then we got the replica genie bottle. Now, the genie bottle I've pictured there is the one that was advertised on the site, and I can tell you, the one that we got was not the right size, was not the luster finish. It was just looked like a 3D printed model that had been painted pink, and you could see the print lines on it. So pretty crap item.
Yeah, I reckon the Hellraiser block of wood was probably the worst of the lot, but it did actually sell. So how fancy that?
Yeah. The Stargate bookends, which were these really nice 3D bookends advertised and cost a bit. This cheap, like 99-cent bracelet turned up. It's got butterflies and stars on, but it's obviously not what was advertised. The piranha plant prop replica was okay. That probably wasn't as good as advertised, but when you put it together, it does look like Audrey 2 and is a passable prop replica. So he's still slightly batting under with what he was trying to sell us. No small home for hobbits. Now, this is the bugbear. It's the $19 item that cost about $200 in the end, and we did not see any small home for hobbits at all.
You got ripped on that one, dude.
The critters were really great. We sold a lot of them. They were cheap. They looked what they were advertised, and when they turned up, they looked pretty good too. And I've got to order some more because we sold out of all the ones that we ordered. Now, the 3 watches were hit and miss because they basically sent us a Jurassic World one instead of a Alice in Wonderland one. And wouldn't you know it, the Alice in Wonderland one was Chad's Christmas present. And so he didn't get the Alice clock, what he wanted. The Doctor Strange one was not as nice as it looked, but it was good. And the Doctor Who one was nice and sold as soon as I put it out. So we're hit and miss with the watches, but the critters were pretty good. The Two-Face coin was good for something that was under $1. I thought it'd be a resin crappy thing. It actually feels like metal, got some weight to it, and it looks like the prop. And of course, everybody's favorite is after we got the Maltese Dragon, we got the incredible Maltese Falcon, which Dag has dubbed the Maltese Budgie because you can see the critter prop replica is holding it, and it's about the size of one of those mini bottles of Coke that you get.
So what are you trying to say, dude?
So what we're trying to say is we've got a musical piece here on.
No, that wasn't what I say. So all in all, Ronnie's summary.
He's in the naughty corner.
Very good. So there you go. Yeah, right, Joe. The Maltese budgie never gets old, and it's still in the store, and it is for sale if you want it. A few people picked up a couple of things along the way, which is kind of funny. So Christy made a point here. She picked up one of the watches and actually liked it. Oh yeah, she loves the pocket watch, which is very, very cool. So yes, there were a few things that sold, but the point is that what you ordered and what you got were different things. And then you're right, the small home for hobbits was definitely a bugbear. Multiple times you sent postage and it just did not turn up. All right, so with that in mind, you are right. There's actually a bit of a jingle that goes with this, which is particularly cool. So all together now. So what are you going to sing us, Mr. Aron?
So excuse me, I'll need the lyrics up, Dag, because I can't remember them. But
they're coming.
Okay,
you ready to go?
Yeah. On the 12th day of Christmas, Ronnie Woo sent to me Volga Vigo posing.
Good on ya.
Jimmy pipes for playing, quite decent headpieces, wooden box for puzzling, pink genie bottle, bracelet instead of Stargate, shop of horror Aubrey, no small home for hobbits, 4 cuddly critters, 3 license watches, 2-face coin for flipping, and a Maltese budgie that was quite wee.
I needed something. That was, oh, dude. The dogs are howling out in the street. It's like, oh, jeez, who taught you to sing it? Oh,
well, that's why I don't do any singing on the show. But there you go. And the reason I put that jingle together was because I don't print everything that Ronnie sends to me. But he was having a bit of a bitch. Can you believe why he was having a bitch? Because his segment doesn't have an introduction, a musical introduction. So I don't know if we've got the next slide here with the next piece of correspondence. Yep. Dear Soul Greg King, I do not understand review. I am not the one that takes blame for products' failure, just getting them to you. And you get them most of the time. Aaron said he would make me internet star, and this hasn't happened. Ronnie's complaining about me. I think he's got notoriety on the internet. He's more than famous. He's infamous. I don't even have bad song to herald my arrival. I do not send complaints about this, Ronnie. So well, do you know what I've done to fix this, Dags?
What have you done, dude?
I have got a bad jingle for Ronnie. So Ronnie, if you're watching, this is your Christmas present and what we will use, as you say, to herald you from now on.
Charming. There you go.
There you go. So everyone in your head, you can imagine Ronnie Woo to the theme of Xanadu. And there you go, Ronnie. You've got your own theme on Rip It Off the Card from now on.
Good old Aaron and his promises of internet stardom. Well, he promised it to me, and that clearly didn't happen. So there you go. And there was a thing about your singing, yay, encore or not. I don't want to punish the audience as much as we need to. I just can't believe we actually sang that. Oh, it's 5 golden 4 anniversaries. Oh, dear. Very good. Yes, I'm going to say, don't give up your day job, because clearly that ain't going to happen. But, look, even Mr. Phil said, yeah, way to go. Oh, well done, sir. Good stuff. Very good. So, yes, the fact that he complained about you is just unbelievable. And anyway, let's move on.
There we go. So, Merry Christmas from Greg King, our sentinel at the gateway, making sure that we don't get ripped off when we order stuff online. And I'm sure he will be doing his very best over the Christmas holidays to find a new batch of things to shame next year.
Very good. All right. So if you thought that was the worst that this show could probably get, well, clearly that's not the case, because it's now time for the last time this year for this. And how lovely is this? Is that right there, Mr. Aron?
I know, because I think this year the Vial is going to do a really nice Christmas episode for us, and I think it's not going to violate Christmas at all. I have a really good feeling about things this year. How about you, Dag?
Oh, I do. It's warm, fuzzy feelings in my heart. What can I say? So there you go. Have we no decency? Of course not. If we had decency, we wouldn't be making this damn show. Very cool. A bit of vileness. We can never have knocked that, can we? So we can never underestimate your ability to make things worse. Oh, well, indeedy doody doody. Now, to be fair, if you remember the vile file from last year, which I ended up watching again today, it is not as bad as that. So if you remember, we had a lot of suggestive items. You had to put official warning in and everything for that. But this time it's not so bad because we've got some vile letters, Mr. Aron. Is that right?
We have from probably one of our two most regular vile correspondents. We've got one, Dear Lord Vile, my dark master. I wondered if you would share some of your favorite vile things about Christmas. I loved the poem you made last year and think that it will be hard to top. Love, Andrea. So, Dags, you watched the poem from last year. Will this one top it?
I can't remember, but I'll tell you what, I mean, I blocked my ears for that. But Andrea did send a bit of an extra picture to get us in the mood for today, for Christmas.
Yeah.
Can you,
P.S.
if you can read that one?
Here is a picture to get you in the mood for Christmas. And it's got a picture. I don't know if that's Andrea or just a picture she's found, but it's like, I've got, I'm so good, Santa came twice.
There you go. If you don't mind, umpire. So I'll tell you what, if that is a picture of Andrea, Andrea, I'm not saying anything. Get me into trouble. I'm going to stop right there. Oh, I love it. Yeah, it didn't even cross my mind that might be her. So there you go.
I don't know. But there you go. So it is nice. And thank you for everyone who has sent anything in for the Vile file or some comments or some links, because we do try and use them. And it's good when we get some viewer feedback. But the Vile has been very kind because he's opened up his Vile Christmas album.
He has. Yes, very good. So it's the Lord Vile's Christmas album. Absolutely fantastic. Fun for the whole family. And it really is a bit of a family affair this time around, if I'm not mistaken there, Mr. Aron, because what are we looking at?
Well, as you know, the Vile has hires things out for parties and kids' parties and other occasions, but it turns out that he's a Santa booking agency as well, Dags. Did you know this?
You know what? If I had have known that, I was like, mate, there's only one knee I want to be sitting on, and that, of course, that is the Vile's knee. But does everybody else out there, little kids in particular, do they think the same way? So you go to see Santa, the big red dude, he's jolly and he's happy. You get your little 2-3-year-old, you plonk him on his knee. What could possibly go wrong?
So the Vile's Christmas motto is satisfaction is definitely not guaranteed, especially when you're dealing with kids. So the Vile has gone into his Christmas album and found the best pictures from his Santas at Christmas with different kids. Now, all of these kids, these are real candid photos. None of this is set up. You couldn't set this up if you tried, I don't think. But whenever I see this, it reminds me of years and years of whenever I tried to get a picture of Kale with Santa, where he would just instantly lose it and cry.
I'm just looking at this guy over here, right? And do you reckon if you could put a thought bubble in saying, I'm not getting paid enough for this shit? I reckon that is awesome. I mean, like, and you can just imagine the parents going, "Yeah, smile, little Jimmy, smile, little Katie," and all that, and they're not going for it, dude. What's the deal with that? Now, of course, in this next picture, clearly the kids aren't happy, but I want everybody out there who's going to look at this to put a thought bubble in for what Santa's thinking.
Well, I think everybody needs to know that the Vile is a very community conscious person, and he will hire people who are on parole. And this Santa has just got out of the South Pole clink, I think. And you can see the kids aren't happy, but Santa, you can understand why the kids aren't happy. I think Santa is very, very jolly in this picture.
Well, I think the reason is that Santa was thinking of the last person who sat on his knee, and of course, there's only one thing he'd be thinking of.
Yes, so I think that's how the Santas get through life, because they know that, like, they deal with all the screaming kids. They will eventually hit the jackpot.
Oh god, that's so funny. Oh goodness gracious me. So there you go. All right, so if the kids aren't going for Santa, maybe the Santas themselves are a bit on the dodgy side, right? Now you see some damn good Santas at Chadston and in Myers and whatever, But what if these dudes turned up to your Chrissy party? How do you reckon you go with that?
Well, as I was saying, he takes people. He is indiscriminate, and if you are in witness protection, you can have a job as Santa with one of these amazing vile masks. So you can be Santa incognito, and I tell you what, you would be an absolute hit turning up at any Halloween party as one of these evil Santas, wouldn't you?
It is so shifty, eh? So, oh, I tell you what, you can be thinking bad. I'm thinking bad things, dude. Oh dear, absolutely love it. So yeah, I like it. Yes, the Santa Claus. But that one on the top left, what is this guy up here? What's the deal with that?
That's Santa at Chernobyl.
Unbelievable. That is an absolute classic. So,
Hmm.
absolutely love it. So, that is very, very cool. So, sticking with that theme, once again, you got dodgy looking Santas and kids who aren't necessarily the happiest campers in the world. What do you reckon of that, Mr. Aaron?
Well, this is a bit of dodgy Santas, dodgy kids. Again, when you've got like these masks for Santas, you're guaranteed to get a reaction. And when the kids try to escape down the bottom, you can see that Santa is not letting that little girl go anywhere, is she?
No, you know what it is? As she crawls away, he just drags her back by the feet, and you got the fingernails on the floor.
Like that scene
um,
for yeah, like the scenes from Evil Dead.
but I mean, you look at that one up there, right? That's not right. And this one over here, I mean, would you actually voluntarily say, "Yep, I'm going to put my kid on that knee"? It's like, no way, dude.
I think it must be one of those things that obviously those photos are a bit old. Maybe it was the best costumes you could get in maybe the 50s. And since then, society's changed and no way would you drag that costume out now. But they are some amazing photos. They make for some great comedy, don't they?
They do indeed. And of course, as always, remember, fans, Christmas is for the kids, and you want the kids to be happy.
So again, you can see if you hire one of the Viles Santas that kids will be in and out of those photos in a flash because they are not happy to be with any of these creepy old men.
Oh, so what's the thought bubble of this kid over here looking at Santa over there?
I don't know. Maybe please don't touch me.
Oh, oh God! I tell you what, that's it. Yep. If you can't beat it,
I
traumatized
think
kids, gotta
the the
love it.
the, the, the thought bubble for all of them is a do you hold a working with children card? Now,
Yep.
Like the Vile also likes to highlight any products that we didn't see last year, and we highlighted a lot of them last year, but these are some new ones that turned up this year. I think the best one there is Santa holding the bear and what looks like a bell with a suspicious ringer to it. I think that bell has quite a big clacker, actually. But there you go. You've also got what looks like a snowman up the top there, pole dancing over a melted candle, which was unfortunately red. So it just looks like there's been a massacre that's happened. Underneath, the snowmen are obviously playing stacks on. I don't know where they've hidden any of their snowballs though. And you've got like a large Christmas ornament hung up at night and lit up, but it looks like a giant phallus. So I don't know who thought that was a good idea.
I'm just looking at this one over here. You got the bear over there, and you got this thing over here, the belt, right? And the first thing that came to my mind was insert tab A into slot B. And remember, there's always time for lubrication, as they say. Now, you put this photo in. I'm not entirely sure what it's for. I must have missed it.
So someone has written on the windows, you can see at the top, let it snow. But because the windows curve round, at the bottom, it actually says tits now.
There you go. So
So
very, very
that
good.
was the Vile's favourite decorated house for Christmas this year.
Good stuff. Tits now. There we go. Come and get them if you don't mind umpire. So what are you trying to tell me about good old Christmas at the Vile Villa this year, Mr. Aaron?
Well, it might not have been as R-rated as last year, but the Vile still likes to highlight some of the many interesting cultural um, pictures that he has in his album, and you can see that Santa has came for the year and he has well and truly violated Christmas.
Love it. How good was that? You cannot knock a good violation. Very good. Love
Tits
it.
now sounds too highbrow for the vial.
Think of all those traumatized kids, eh? So there you go. I reckon those pictures ended up being shown at their 21st birthday parties. Well done indeed. Very, very good. All right, so it's time for a bit of audience interaction. If I know Angie will put a bit in before we've even started. It's now time for the last time this year to take a bit of a guess for some of our eBay segments.
Yeah, so
Oh, slow down, son. You're getting ahead of yourself.
I know it probably won't be any surprise, but we've gone for a Christmas theme this year. So anything to do with Christmas that's been on eBay, it might be in this segment.
Very good. So it's Christmas themed. It's not all necessarily pop culture related, but you never know what's going to pop up. What do we got here, Mr. Aaron?
So this is an interesting one. It's a Star Wars Lego X-Wing, but you can see it's like candy cane colors and Christmas decorated X-Wing, and it wasn't available to the public. It was an exclusive staff-only Christmas gift if you worked for Lego, which usually means some of this stuff can be quite collectible.
Very good. All right. So Ange said 62 cents. That was before the item popped up. Phil's gone for $2. The vial has added a 3 extra zeros, gone for 2,000. Don't forget, guys, if you are watching this, put in your bids to how much you reckon this went for. Don't Google it. Don't cheat it. Just take a bit of a punt. It's all a bit of fun and games. Guy's gone for 20 grand, which is probably a bit too much. Christy's gone for 1 cent, which is probably a bit too low. Colin's gone for 1,500. So what does everybody else think? The Lego stuff, good old Lego, as we know, is always worth a lot of money. Unbelievable price tags for some of these things. Exclusive Christmas staff only. Oh, how good is that? Moneybag Sullivan has gone for 150. Mark has gone for 500. Could be kind of cool. So there you go. Christmas is staff BNIB creases in the box. Kelvin has gone for $1,000. Very, very groovy. Lego Star Wars X-Wing looks very, very cool. If it is an exclusive, it'll probably have some value associated with it. William's gone for $3 grand, which is particularly cool. All right, so we'll move on because we are sort of way behind time. So the Lego Star Wars X-Wing fighter, Christmas exclusive for the staff. It's all very, very good, very, very exciting. How much did it go for? It went for a whopping $1,000 there, Mr. Aaron. What's the deal with that?
Well, Kelvin was pretty close, 95 cents off.
Yep.
So well done, Kelvin. But it is one of those things. It's Star Wars and it's Lego and it's exclusive. They don't really do anything for me, sort of the Christmassy stuff. I guess if you're a collector and you like that kind of stuff, it does go for a bit. When they originally came out, they were selling for about 300 last year. So if you bought one at 300, you're getting about 3 times your money back, considering it was something the staff got for free as well.
I just realised I had the afterpay thing down the bottom there. I usually cover those up, but I obviously missed this one. So people who saw that would put 2 and 2 together pretty quickly, which is a bit of a blue on my part. Very good. All right, let's hope that doesn't appear again. All right, next one up is this.
There you go. So it's a silver Christmas tree. It's a 60s one, Starlight aluminium Christmas tree. I mean, that's a nice piece right there. Anyone would like that in their house for Christmas.
Weren't there a scenario where these kept catching fire with the lights?
I think they probably were. They look like something that'd take out a Michael Jackson, don't they?
Yeah, because there was a period of time when they produced these trees, and I remember these trees. They're on wire; they all fold up, right? And you can store them away. But I think it was like Christmas lights were a bit dodgy back in the day. They'd overheat, and the trees would catch on fire. But there would have been millions of these sold back in the time. And of course, silver ones as opposed to green ones is pretty groovy. And just said 10 cents. There were 20 bids for this. So they keep in mind, fans.
Maybe the bids were 0.5 of a cent each.
I was going to say, I couldn't do the maths as to how it works. Colin said 65. Christy's gone for a cent again. The vial has gone, because if anybody's going to violate Christmas, it's got to be the vial at $1.50. Phil's gone for $5. Joe said, yes, they were a great conductor's electricity. It's probably because of the wire inside them. 100 for Kelvin. Guy said 7. Moneybag Sullivan's 150. Greg said 2. See, nobody has any idea what this is worth. And William has said 150 as well from the 1960s. You wouldn't actually use it as a Christmas tree. But it's a bit old school, and I do remember them. They were very popular. This is before the plastic ones became the norm, and you used to put all the plastic bits in and stick it all together. But there were 20 bids, So clearly somebody had a bit of interest in this, and they've put it up at the right time. They didn't stick it up in June or April or anything like that. Vintage Christmas tree, silver metal, 1960s Starlight aluminium. Very, very groovy. How much do you reckon it went for? 20 bids. It went for a whopping $407, Mr. Aron.
Well, that was a good hard waste find, wasn't it? It's one of those things where retro is collectible, and if you've got some kitsch Christmas stuff, there are people that collect it. I've actually seen some really amazing sort of 60s Christmas setups where they've only used the original tree and old decorations, and it is a bit of a time warp. So when you have it like that, it looks quite bare and quite cheap. But when you dress it with all the original 60s stuff, it is one of those things that's quite cool and quite a talking point if you had it in your home. Would I pay $407 for that tree? No, I wouldn't.
So nobody was close. William and Moneybags are at 150, so they've still got to cough up an extra 300 whatever it is dollars. So nobody was on the mark for that one. But yeah, it's not bad for 60 years old, 50 years old, whatever it is. It's pretty good. And yes, it was the 200 volts. They were, everybody got fried. So yes, they were dangerous, but at the time nobody knew. But I do agree with you. When you deck them all out, they look pretty damn good. So there you go. All right. So completely their field. This has got nothing to do with Christmas whatsoever, unless I'm missing something really obvious. We could have put this in a segment earlier in the show, but of course it's the old one of these bloody freaking pops, mate. What's the deal?
So this is A Nightmare Before Christmas pop. It's Clown Jack in the Box, which was a Funko exclusive. So usually when you hear pop and exclusive, they go for a bit. Is this one going to go for a lot, or is this your $5 pop?
Two things. Ange said about the previous item, 10 cents is still a good price for such a dodgy tree. You would have thought they would have put in Nightmare Before Christmas in the description. So, yeah, it's not even on the box, eh?
No.
Surprising. All right, so it's from Nightmare Before Christmas, which I didn't know that. So there you go. Guy said $30. Ange said 5 cents. Colin's gone for 155. Phil has gone for $50. Christy's gone for her obligatory 1 cent. Being a pop, I actually think that's probably a bit too much, actually. Gregor said $2 to have it binned. Yes, that's the old piff it out the window. Maybe a segment we'll have in the future. You never know. Violating the clown and the Jack in the Box is the vile at 666. Kelvin's gone for 10. Moneybag Sullivan's gone for 50. All good stuff. What do you reckon, kids? Clown in Jack in the Box car 12. It is actually, as you mentioned, Nightmare Before Christmas, even though it doesn't actually say that, which I think is kind of interesting. Old Fart Gaming has just put in zeros. Okay, so I think it's sold for something. I don't think it didn't go for anything, but appreciate your optimism. And William's gone for $70. Good stuff. All right, so how much you reckon I went for? Clown, Jack in the Box, Cart 12, Disney, Funko Pop Vinyl, blah, 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 blah. Bullshit. I do like this. Do take store credit. Yeah, so we only give credit where it's due. And, of course, it went for a whopping $250, Mr. Aron. What's the deal with that?
I know. Pop just put exclusive on stuff and sell it through their store, and as soon as you walk through the doors, it goes from a $19 pop to a $250 pop. So that was one. Again, I wouldn't pay that for a pop. Not even one that I liked would I pay that much for.
No, totally agree. So, Colin, you still got to cough up an extra $100, sir. But, yeah, that's just ridiculous, isn't it, eh? Yes, Colin, you win. Winner, chicken dinner. Yes, unfortunately, you've just won that, which is the most unboring thing in the entire universe. But there you go. All right, let's move on. Oh, a bit of Docky Who, mate.
Yeah, so now it's Mark's time to shine. I think maybe Greg's here as well. This is from last year. It's the TARDIS light up Hallmark ornament. Now, Hallmark do a lot of popular culture ornaments. They haven't done many Doctor Who, but I tell you what, the police box is a good Christmas ornament. It does look Christmassy on the tree, and when it lights up, it is a good piece. So these were in the bargain bins last year. Are they going for more now? One sold. They've still got one available if you're after one.
Very good. And the old Docky Who, check out the brand new logo on the Sci-Fi Zone Facebook page. Is way cooler than that other dodgy version, which is kind of groovy. Good stuff. Docky Who, everybody loves that. And I do agree with Christy. Who the hell's paying for these amounts? It's just ridiculous. All right, let's find out what happened here. So Andrew said 75 for this. Guy, 10 grand. It's probably a little bit optimistic. And Colin just basically said idiots like that. Christy finally put a bid in at $14, which is particularly cool. So what does everybody else reckon for the Docky Who TARDIS? Sound Christmas Hallmark, which is kind of cool. Kelvin went for 150. Come on,
Oh,
guys,
yeah.
put your bids in. We've got to move on. $100 for Colin. Violating the TARDIS, of course, is the Vial at 175. $80. Less of a belong to Jody. Oh, cop that if you don't mind. Umpire. Rusky Babes said 60. Phil has gone for 80. All good stuff. How big is this thing? Is it like really tiny or really large? Because it looks big in the photo.
So it's about 10 centimeters, so it's not tiny, but
Yeah.
it's not huge. It's Christmas ornament size. We have got, I should have said, we've got Phil, who's the president of the Doctor Who Club, Kelvin, who was the president, Greg, who was the president, Mark, who's a big fan. So there should be some actual, Jeff, who was president as well at one point. There should be some pretty accurate bids here, shouldn't there?
You should be. Jeffro has joined us and said 120, and Olfar Gaming said 25. There you go. I like this. No one here is in a rush. There you go. Very, very good. We'll have to wait and see. All right, so how much you reckon I went for? Docky Who TARDIS, Sound Christmas Hallmark ornament from last year. The 4th classic. Very, very cool. How much did it go for? I went for a whopping $100, Mr. Aaron. What do you reckon of that?
Oh, I wish I'd picked them up when they're in the bargain bins. That's what I wish I'd done. That's the capitalist dog in me. I already had a couple of TARDIS ornaments. So I thought, I don't need.
That's the capitalist dog I like to hear.
Buying ornaments like this is go into Target the week after Christmas where they're in the 99-cent bargain bin and pick them up then. Do not buy them off eBay the week before Christmas where they're at an all-time high in listings. How is that? We had all the presidents of the Doctor Who clubs who didn't get it, and the president of the Star Trek club wins it.
What does that tell you, eh? The Trekkie came in and just knocked all the Docky Who dudes out of the ballpark. Absolutely loved it. And you get 5 cents back, Mr. Collins. So well done to you. Rusky said $2.5 grand. Where were you going with that, dude? You're way off target. Cop this. $99.94 too much. Oh, how's that for a swipe, if you don't mind, umpire? There you go. Very, very good. Love it. Yes, 5 cents. What will you do with your 5 cents? Probably pivot at some random Docky Who nerds who got the answer wrong. All right, with that in mind, the last one, I had to laugh at this when Aaron sent this through. This is something that all fans need to have in their house, right? Just stick it in because you got, as in like, put it up somewhere. So you need it, switch it on and love it because it's a light up. Jesus.
Well, of course, I wanted to show respect for the Saviour. So we've got this neon light up Jesus lawn ornament that can be used at Christmas and Easter. So it goes for, it's got a double use than most of the things we've had in tonight's episode. So how much would you expect to pay for your light up Jesus?
Use him for Christmas, use it for Easter. It's like a double ender. Oh dear, gee. Of course, when it goes for what is it called Jesus for? Because when it goes for a really high price, you go, Jesus Christ. All right. Andrew's gone for $20. $20 and 3 wise men. Oh, love it. Moneybags is totally. It's actually probably not enough zeros. Love it. $9 million. There you go. Go down 1 cent. Oh God, Phil has gone for $3, $30. Sorry. I reckon he's just a naughty. Oh God, there's actually I saw a great Christmas card where you got all the dudes around the manger and they're playing poker, and one of them says, "I just need 3 kings." 30 pieces of silver, three wise dollars. Oh God damn it, 80 gold bits. Nothing like some golden bits. Very cheap. Oh God, I've got the hiccups back. Very, very good. And $24 for because everybody needs a light up Jesus in their life. Oh, that is just too good. All right, so how much do you reckon it went for? Lights outdoor garden, Christmas party light, Easter lighting, 1,001 uses. One can never have too many Jesus in the house. It comes to that old joke. What's this? It's Jesus biting his nails. And I can say that joke because I'm a nail biter. All right, so there you go. All right, so how much do you reckon it went for? It went for a little bit.
How much would you expect to pay for the way, the truth, and the neon light?
Yes, exactly right. It went for a whopping $600. Jesus Christ. Uh, what,
Yes, one little drummer boy.
I don't think. Yeah, I have no idea who got that. So, what do you reckon, dude? $600 for a light up Jesus, 1,001 uses.
I know that one surprised me, but it's the items like this that no one really has a clue about, isn't it? So it's fun to put it up and see everyone having a guess. So again, thank you for everyone who participates in this segment. It wouldn't be half as funny without your comments and your insane bids sometimes.
Love it. Absolutely fantastic. I've got to press a couple of buttons. So, yes, that was a bit of good fun for everybody. And I've got to say, we absolutely loved it. We've got to do the usual bizzo. Where are we? Oh, yeah. So don't forget, fans, for those who are watching this, mainly those who are watching on replay, if you want to know more about what's going on the Sci-Fi Zone, be sure to check out our socials. And you can actually go to the YouTube site and the Facebook page and see all the previous episodes, including last week's Christmas show. If you want to check out the file from that, you will definitely be going to hell. And of course, as mentioned earlier, if you want your last minute Chrissy shopping, go to Aron's Collectables. Pick up. You won't pick up a light up Jesus, but you'll get the next best thing. Get to see Aron.
Yeah, a light up Aaron. But I'm pretty sure if you come in and say that I said so, yeah, I'd probably give you a discount too, bar humbug.
Very, very good. Buy some pops from the poor bastard because he wants to get rid of them. How good is that? All right, good stuff. Where are we? We're actually only 15 minutes behind schedule, but we are sort of just slowly working our way through it all. So what are we talking about? Mr. Feature Presentation. It's a very cool one. Naturally, of course, it's our Christmas special, and we are talking about some Christmas stuff. Is that right there, Mr. Aron?
We are. So it's our second Christmas special where Dags and I are just talking about a few of our favorite holiday movies and things associated with them. So sit back for the next 45 minutes or an hour as we wax lyrical about all things holiday Christmas that we love. So there's a bit of a range of movies here, and Dags and I have put forward some of our favorites.
Now, of course, you saw the image earlier from Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, one of the worst Christmas movies you could ever see, but it was a hoot and a holler. And I used to make it regular Christmas viewing every Christmas Eve for my good self. And of course, as was mentioned in a previous episode, the fact that Santa Claus conquers the Martians. He doesn't help the Martians. He doesn't assist the Martians. He doesn't pay homage to the Martians. He conquers them. He comes up with a big ass boot and just crushes a lot of them on Mars and goes, "Here I am. I've conquered ya."
He basically makes a toy production facility on Mars, but the toys become weapons, and then he gets the children of Mars to rise up and conquer the Martians with him. Now, this is one of those amazing movies where when I was really young, I loved it. I grew up a bit and thought, no, this is a load of crap. And now I really love it again. And it reminds me almost, if they did in season 3 of Lost in Space, a Christmas special, if the Robertsons and Dr. Smith turned up in this, I wouldn't be surprised. It has that kind of sci-fi cheapness, tongue-in-cheek comedy, bright color, Lost in Space kind of atmosphere to it. I think it's a great Christmas movie.
So I think it's very funny. You said, "Oh, you thought it was a crap movie." Then you said it was a good movie. It's like, dude, no. It's always been a crap movie. Don't worry about that. It's an unbelievably bad theme song as well. Hooray for Sanity Claus. But I got to admit, I loved it. I've actually got 2 copies. I beat William on this one and Kelvin. 2 copies, not 1, but 2 on DVD. So how tragic am I? But was there any merchandise for it, Mr. Aron? Probably not. Well,
there was. It really surprises me, and I've never really looked into this before, and now I've found that there is merchandise. I'm actually looking at buying it because I think it's pretty cool. Once again, it proves Dell and Golden Key Comics would license any old shit, and they did. They licensed a comic book version of Santa Claus versus the Martians, and surprisingly, it was such a big hit and so popular. It came out in 66, and 2 years later in 68, they reissued it with an album soundtrack of the comic because it was apparently something that was used to help kids learn to read. Santa Claus Conquers Illiteracy. I mean, how crazy is that?
Absolutely fantastic. So there you go. So, but there was a situation in the show where one of the elves sort of, that's right, because Santa Claus on the show, he's building all the toys for the kids, right? And it turns out that, he's in a really bit of a bad mood, right? Because he discovers that Merry Christmas is pissed off to the bridge club. All the elves have decided to go out and sort of go pole dancing with the girls. The reindeers are all on strike. And he's in a really shitty mood, right? And so this, what do you call it? Angel walks in with the Christmas tree. Says, "Hey, Father Christmas, I've got the Christmas tree here. Where would you like me to stick it?" And that's why from that day to this, there's an angel at the top of every Christmas tree. Oh, got there in the end. There you go. Very, very good. So that was Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. Yeah, it is actually a bit of fun to watch, and you've got to check it out. But it is not the coolest Chrissy movie of all time. A lot of debate's been about this one. Is it a Chrissy movie or not? Of course it is, because it is set on Christmas Eve, and of course it's the old Die Hard movies, mate.
It is. Die Hard and Die Hard 2, which is an often forgotten Christmas sequel. I would argue that Die Hard 2 is more of a Christmas movie because it's stuck in an airport during the holidays and everyone's experienced that at Christmas at one point or the other. Die Hard 2 also has a miracle in it. Look at Bruce Willis's hair. It's even better than Die Hard 1. I mean, that's a Christmas miracle right there. But Die Hard 2 has become legendary as the Christmas movie for people who don't like Christmas movies because it is an action movie set on 40 stories of sheer adventure. And that's one of those Christmas movies that can't be beat. It is one of those that turns up in the charts on Netflix and stuff around Christmas because people have started watching it as a Christmas tradition. Do you watch this or the Die Hard movies at Christmas?
Well, I'm not one of those people who says, "Oh, every Christmas I've got to just do the usual thing." But I certainly understand it, I respect it, and I go with it, and I've got no issue with it whatsoever. So when people say, "Oh, they've got these awesome Christmas movies to watch," you would put them on. So, and I've got no issue with that whatsoever. And of course, as to prove that, got some Die Hard Chrissy stuff, mate.
What I do find and really like about the Die Hard Christmas stuff, Die Hard fans and Die Hard, I guess the franchise owners, have embraced that it's a Christmas movie. So when it came out, there was no Christmas merchandise to do with Die Hard at all. But as it has, aged and become like a classic movie, they've actually embraced the whole Die Hard is a Christmas movie thing. So all the merchandise that comes out for Die Hard generally is tied into Christmas. And I love there you've got the broken Christmas glass ornament with him in no shoes and the ho 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 now I have a gun card, and of course the tree with the tower and the explosion at the top. And I can't read what it says there because we're a family show. But yes, it is one of those things that I think that people and fans embraced it as a Christmas movie before the actual producers embraced it as a Christmas movie. And it is a bit cynical of me that now that they see it as that, they do roll it out each year and try and get more mileage out of it. But I don't mind. It's better than most of the Christmas movies, isn't it?
Yeah, I love it. And I saw this comment and I put it up on screen and they took it off again. I thought, yeah, good on you. Nothing like a good old spell check can't fix this. I love it with Hans, Harns. Don't you mean it's just Hans? It's Hans Gruber, not Hans. Is that the Western spelling for Hans? Oh, yes. You're a classic, Adsy. Love you.
You can get Christmas advent calendars where each day you open it, Hans falls further and further down the tower, which is
well. I actually suggested to Aaron that there should be a Nerds for All Seasons calendar. You get all the dudes throughout the fandom, one for every month, which is particularly cool because Aaron would have to be the center spread. Oh, check it. I already for everybody. What can I say?
I already have the pose. Do you know what pose I'd do? Like when Arnie comes through from the future in Terminator, hunched down naked in the alleyway. I'm sure that'd be a center spread that would stop people dead.
I tell you what, you'd have to get a few lenses for that one, wouldn't you, Jack? Oh, I've got to say that works for me.
Fisheye lenses.
Yeah. Sticking with the diehards, of course, aside from building the Nakatomi Plaza, actually, I love the poster. That's Hondo Mission. I just noticed the picture on the left, the Nakatomi Plaza and the broken ball thing.
Snow globe, yeah.
Snow globe, again,
I think now that they've embraced the Christmasness of it, that it's a real genius, some of the marketing they've used. And these are different posters and different DVD releases each year. You can see there's, I don't know if Jeff's still watching, I don't know if he has this one. There's an amazing Die Hard box set, which is actually the Nakatomi Plaza as the bonus you get with it. And most of the time we bag the pops, but any pop that has a suspended Bruce Willis with bloody feet, dripping blood onto the base, that's a pretty cool pop. And also the pop on the swivel chair that's assassinated is another cool pop as well. So I do think it is one of those franchises which bucks the trend and has produced some cool pops rather than useless pops.
Yeah, the blood on the foot. I mean, that I did not see coming. I was like, all right. So, I mean, they could have easily just done away with that, and nobody would have said, "Hey, he needs blood on the feet." Yeah, that's kind of a little bit gruesome, but it was part of the movie, and I kind of get it. Greg has said we need to rip it off the card advent calendar. So, in other words, you want 12 months of Aron
I think everybody
in
wants
various positions.
a little daggy action.
Oh no, don't worry about me. No one watches. I just push the buttons, dude. You're the one who makes the show happen. So there you go. Oh dear.
Every window you lift violates me more and more.
So when you do that pose from Arnold from Terminator, right? You have your picture of you naked. You have the picture of Arnold. And say only the mother could tell them apart. One is bulging muscles. The other one is just bulging.
One has a cyborg endoskeleton inside, and one is just full of pie. Twins 3.
So when the naked Aron stands up, he's got his 45 Uzi millimeter on one side, and he's got his Kentucky Fried Chicken thing on the other.
A bucket.
Oh, God damn it. All right.
Yes. In my version, I've come back in time to find out the 11 secret herbs and spices.
Oh, God, that just killed me. That was. Love it. All right. I'm going to move on. I'm struggling to see the screen now. All right. Very, very good. All right. So this was obviously a lot of people call this a Christmas special, but it was actually released at Christmas time. It's not even referencing Christmas. But for the sake of the argument, let's just chuck it in anyway.
The Star Wars Holiday Special. So this is for people who don't have to celebrate Christmas. They celebrate. That's your big subwoofers.
God
it's
damn it.
for people who celebrate Life Day or Festivus or any of those non-Christmas occasions that pop up from time to time. Now, we all know the very best thing about Star Wars was the production that came after A New Hope. Now, you may be thinking An Empire Strikes Back, but as a kid, the Star Wars Holiday Special was the best thing. I remember before you could have Star Wars on video and before you could watch it, this came on television and it was a slice of the galaxy far, far away that I gobbled down and I absolutely loved. It wasn't till I saw it, 10 or 20 years later that I realized that I gobbled down a shit sandwich. But at the time, it was an interesting piece of television.
The yearly dose of lumpy. That's exactly right. Adzi said, other top movies, Long Kiss Goodnight. I did forget about that one. Actually, Die Hard 2 with Drew Dunn and Lethal Weapon, of course. Long Kiss Goodnight was a good movie, except the ending. She should have died, but hey, oh my God, the Hollywood ending. She's like completely carked it, but wakes up and then runs away and the world is good. But we're talking about the holiday special from 1978, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it has its own little slice of history.
Well, look at that picture of Mark Hamill. What drugs was he on when they did that? Or did he not have his regular makeup lady? Because I don't know what's going on there. Maybe this was just pre the accident he was in and they reconstructed his face or something. But I don't know. I always thought that he looked really weird in this. And of course, you had Harrison Ford doing what Harrison Ford does best, looking totally disinterested through the entire thing. You had Chewbacca's family, which at the time I thought was absolutely amazing, and it is surprising that they never made figures of them, even though there were prototypes. And you had Donna Summers, and you had B. Arthur, and a bunch of other light entertainment stars to make it this sort of weird. Sort of
That's very funny.
The thing, Dags, about the Star Wars Holiday Special, as a piece of entertainment now, it is pretty bad. But anyone growing up at the time who were watching the Osmond Holiday Special and the Brady Bunch variety show and stuff like that, this wasn't unusual. It fit right into that genre of sort of specials and light entertainment musicals that were on. It's just all of those have faded away, where this keeps coming back and is more of an oddity every time you watch it.
So yeah, right. You're absolutely correct, and it was the right place at the right time for a lot of this stuff. In fact, the Donnie Marie Star Wars special. I mean, I'm gonna have to be blunt here. Marie Osmond as Princess Leia, friggin' spectacular. She was an absolute babe and a half. just putting it out there. The thing about the holiday special, it had in its favour is that Vader makes an appearance in it, right? So he's walking down and he's talking to the dude. And of course, a lot of people didn't realise actually a deleted scene from A New
Yeah.
Hope. And you know that for a fact because it's on one of the trading cards, because there's a sequence where he's walking down the corridor on the Death Star talking to an Imperial officer. And if you know the movie well enough, you go, hang on, that scene wasn't in the film, but they put it in the holiday special. And he walked into these elevators and they just changed the voice. So if you wanted to see that footage, it was the only place you could see it. And that was a bit of a big deal. So you are right. When the holiday special came out, I mean, at the time when you were just hungry for anything new because it was just the movie in the cinemas and nothing else, people just lapped this thing up, regardless of how, dodgy it ended up being. And as we've said before, Lumpy, the main kid, Chewbacca's kid, has this awesome bantha in his house, and the stormtroopers rip its head off. And you go, oh, why didn't they make that toy, that bantha toy? And of course, they didn't do that. And there's a whole lot of things in the show that were really good.
There's the little sequence Life on Tatooine as well, and that was all deleted scenes from Star Wars. And it does show you, I think, how a good editor can affect the movie, because it had that sort of George Lucas jokey style where you've got a short person running through like a stilted alien's legs, which is almost, slapstick comedy. And it would have been one of those things George Lucas might have put in, and Marsha Lucas would have gone, no, I don't think so, and edited out. So it is good, like you were saying, to see the deleted scenes.
Yeah, it was mainly a Fox thing more than a Lucas thing. That's why Lucas hated it. Fox owned the rights, and they said, yeah, we're going to make this thing. And you would, as a cash-in, as a TV thing, you would do it, right? And that's sort of where it all came about. And, of course, the actors are all like, oh, we're on a big buzz. We've got this massive paycheck from this fantastic film. You would sign up for it and effectively make complete idiots of yourselves. But it's kind of interesting because even though it has a bad reputation, a lot of people still have a connection to it. We actually had a Star Walking Christmas party one time, and we had a meeting in the daytime and the Christmas party at night. And I put it on as a joke, the holiday special, to fill in like an hour and a half in between. And we had to stop the show, as in like the holiday special, about an hour and a bit into it because the Christmas party was starting and everybody complained. They were really dialed into it. And I go, mate, you're supposed to be sitting there throwing things at the TV screen, not actually wanting to see more. But yeah, it brought people in. So,
and there was a time when it was actually a very hard production to get a copy of.
Yes, it was actually, but it sort of found its way into people's collections, and now you can pretty much get it anywhere. But yeah, it was renowned for a few famous things, and a couple of them we're going to sort of cover off as we go along. But from a collectible point of view, yes, here we are.
So this is a slide of the toys that weren't, because they really didn't release any of this stuff. But you can see they kind of would have fit into Star Wars. And what interests me, when they released Star Wars figures, all the Star Wars figures were still available when Return of the Jedi was out. If they'd have released the Star Wars holiday special figures, you can see down in the bottom middle there, they are actually the prototypes that they were thinking of releasing. The other ones are all fan-made stuff. When Return of the Jedi and Power of the Force were out, these figures would have still been in circulation, because I guess Kenner never took anything out of circulation once they produced the figure. And you look at it and you have a bit of a laugh. And I think, but you know what? I'd have probably preferred those to like the Best Ben security guard or something like that as a kid, because those figures I always found boring. At least these were Wookiees and Chewbacca's family. So I can see from a certain point of view how they could have been a good thing to do. Ultimately, there was really nothing released for the Star Wars holiday special. There was one book, which I think we're going to have a look at, and that was pretty much it.
Christy said most of us had never seen it. We wanted to see if it improved. The funny thing about it is that when you have a franchise that is really successful and then there's something that's attached to it that is really terrible, most people just forget about it and they never discuss it. It never gets brought up. A perfect example of that is Battlestar Galactica. Everybody loved the original show when it came out in the 70s. It was great, but Battlestar fans never talk about Galactica 80, right? To them, it's just like it's the ugly cousin shoved in the corridor, right? Now, the Star Wars holiday special is like everybody bemoans it and hates it, talks down about it, but they always bring it up. Everybody knows about it. Everybody knows the characters in it. They know who the actors are. I think people say they hate it, but maybe they don't hate it as much as they think they do. So there could be exceptions to the rule. I mean, I don't dislike it. I just have no interest in it. And as a kid, I absolutely just really dialed into it. But I can sort of see from both points of view. And there's no animosity from my perspective. So, yeah.
No, I think people don't understand fans when they say they hate something. Often they don't. It's they just don't like it as much as the rest of the franchise because it's different. I will often say I hate Jodie Whittaker Doctor Who. I don't hate it. It's just I don't like it as much as the rest of it, you know?
Yeah, completely agree with you. So yes, here we are.
So here is some of the stuff that was released at the time, and you can see they did push it. It was like 4-page ads in TV guides and color and black and white promotion for it. There were reviews, and the reviews weren't horrible. They were, because it was a holiday special and meant to be taken as a tongue-in-cheek holiday special. It was the reviews were more sci-fi show with comedy and music, just what we need at Christmas kind of thing, just what we need for the holidays. And you've got you can see there's the TV ads there along the bottom for the show coming up, and then you've got some of the contemporary reviews. Again, probably it's never going to be as good as the original Star Wars, but the reviews didn't slate it. You've got the Starlog special that looked at the making and the behind the scenes and had a lot of pictures that you never saw anywhere else up until that point. And you've got that one solitary book there about the Wookiee family, which is about the only officially licensed piece of merchandise that came out to do with the Star Wars holiday special.
You are right, because as we mentioned earlier, there was the movie and that's it. I mean, people these days can't even begin to fathom that. One movie, done. And you wanted anything you could just grasp onto, and the holiday special was it. If you tried to do it again today, just change the name, because, the name has a connotation associated with it, it wouldn't work, right? You couldn't do a holiday special today for Star Wars regardless, because unless it was really spectacular, right? Now, as we saw with Guardians of the Galaxy, they've done the Christmas thing recently, and that's worked, and they've got away with that. But I think with Star Wars, they kind of can't. It was a product of its time, and for that reason, people really dialed into it. There was a question here. Are there any reviews? Ads from Australia? I wouldn't have thought so.
As far as I know, I've never seen any. I actually have my original off-air copy, but I wouldn't have got it. It must have been repeated here once, and I got it on the repeat. It's still got the original ads in and everything. That's pretty much it. I don't even really come across anyone who's got the Australian copy. They've downloaded stuff from online, but I don't remember any reviews. Do you?
No. Is it a good point, though? If they were to put it back on television again, let's assume for the moment it's in better quality condition than they've tried to jazz that up. If they were to put it on free-to-air like tomorrow, in the next couple of days, I reckon a lot of people would watch it, and a lot of kids would watch it, and they would really dial into it. I think it could actually be far more successful the second time around, decades after it got originally released, than most people give it credit for. So
I'll tell you something interesting. There's not just the Star Wars holiday special, but if you go to YouTube, you can look at the Linda Carter specials, and like we've mentioned, the Osmond specials, and there's a fantastic Star Wars clip with Richard Pryor, the Richard Pryor show, and they have millions and millions of views. The Richard Pryor one is good. The other ones are quite cheesy, but the fact that they are cheesy is what attracts people to them, and they do get a popular audience.
And to be fair, they are aimed at a younger audience too. They're not aimed as the adults that we have here. See, Joe said that he would watch it. Jeffro said that there was a little Star Wars Lego holiday special. I assume that to be true. I don't know. So yeah, it's all very groovy. So so there you go. So people bag the crap out of it, but maybe it's not as bad as what most people say it is. And of course, as people talk about it, it'll just encourage more younger fans to go, well, I've heard so much about it, I want to go and watch it. So it's never going to die. It'll always be there.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised if it makes it back to free-to-air TV one day in the future. But one thing that the holiday special did do, which was kind of ironic considering what happened this year with TV series, it introduced Boba Fett before Boba Fett appeared in The Empire Strikes Back. So
it did.
There you go.
And it did it in a way where, and this was in the pre-publicity for Boba Fett, no one knew if he was a good guy or a bad guy. He was introduced as a bounty hunter before even the holiday special came out. I think the first appearance of him was actually a Easter parade or something like that with the original Boba Fett, and that was his debut to the public. And people then weren't sure if he was a good guy or a bad guy. And the holiday special kind of kept that ambiguity up for a while, where he was hired by the Empire but was acting as a friend and then betrayed them. A lot of people say this was the best part about the holiday special, the cartoon, but I think all of its parts are equally good, just in different ways. It isn't particularly amazing animation. It's sort of that 70s filmation style, and you can get merchandise for it. And the crazy thing is, in the early days of eBay, a lot of the original sales used to turn up for this, and they were quite cheap. And by that I mean they were like, for a nice sell, a couple of $100. Now, if you can find a nice Boba Fett original cell and not a seri cell or a reprint, they go for tens of thousands of dollars. They were a good investment, but it was never something that I was particularly interested in. Did you enjoy the cartoon?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was very, very groovy. So
And
who
the good
knew where
thing
it
with
was
The
going to lead?
Mandalorian, they've used some of the original
Mm,
designs right back from 1978, his gun and some of the
mm.
technology and things. So that's been interesting to see as well, that the producers of that were obviously fans, or at least tipped their
Yeah.
hat to the holiday special too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, totally agree with you. So, as you said way up here earlier, what is everybody saying? Make a terrible movie set at Christmas and then deny it's a Christmas movie, guaranteed cult movie. Well, that is actually true, because one movie which kind of fits in the same thing, they set it at Christmas. They didn't need to, right? It's not important to do so, but of course, that was the old Batman Returns. It was set at Christmas time.
Well, it is interesting because there are plot points that are Christmassy. The lighting of the Gotham Square Christmas
Yep.
tree and the Christmas ball.
Yeah, for sure.
You
But
know,
if you took all those elements out, you've still got the same movie. Nothing
yeah,
changed.
yeah, exactly. But Bruce Wayne does like holding balls, especially at Christmas. Um, but you do have another one of those movies that, what as I said, is absolutely right. It is a cult movie that, I guess it's bigger than a cult movie because it's Batman, but it was set at Christmas, and it was a Tim Burton aesthetic. So it's that sort of almost weird, disjointed looking Christmas that's a little bit off. And I think that's one of the reasons people don't remember it's a Christmas special, because it's a Tim Burton movie. The Christmassy element kind of gets absorbed into his aesthetic. So after you've seen it, Christmas is not what stands out in this movie, is it?
Well, that's exactly right, and I like, and it's very funny because it's almost like deliberately, just because I'm looking at this picture, taking the whole, dare I say it, the dumb blonde. So you got the ice queen down the bottom here, right?
Yep.
And if you remember her famous line, she says, "The tree lights up, and then I push the button." Oh no, 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 no! I push the button, and the tree. I reckon, but
Yeah.
if you did that today, you'd have a whole lot of females going, "Mate, that's just so sexist. It's not funny." But it was a very, very funny line.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, it's set at Christmas time, and there's obviously Christmas elements to it. Like there's a bit where Santa Claus, I think it's a clown or Santa Claus, has been beaten up by one of the bad
Clown.
dudes, which is not a
Yeah.
good image. But
Yeah.
anyway, so there you go. But yes, there's a lot of stuff that came out for Batman Returns, and using a classic line from Max Schreck, God knows I know. But yes, there you go.
And we've talked about Batman Returns a few times before because it's one of Dags and I's favorite movies. One of the things I'd never thought about before, the first Batman movie basically had the Toy Biz figures, and then Batman Returns, the license went across to Kenner. And I do wonder if Kenner expected it to do more, and that's why the whole behind the scenes changed for Batman Forever. I do wonder if Toy Biz had just kept the license and produced, a dozen figures like they did with the first Batman movie, if the merchandising money would have mattered as much to Warner Brothers as it did when Kenner got on board and expected to be making $1 bazillion off of it, because it didn't sell very well. It wasn't the sort of movie that kids jump onto. And they did produce a lot of merchandise for it. And it's, the notorious McDonald's campaign where they had to pull it because it was not really a kid's movie. And it has one of my favorite action figures ever. And that's like the two Commando penguins. And even for like a very popular movie, that is a really weird figure and accessory to get. And I do remember at the time for, Ninja Turtles, they were producing sets of the mouses and things like that. But when they produced that, I do remember that sitting on the shelves for years after no one bought the penguins, which I thought were pretty cool.
I love it. The Penguin Commandos. They weren't commandos. They were just penguins with rockets on their backs, just being told to walk into town. They had bloody things on their heads that made them just get to control them. So I don't know where the commando bit came from, but yes, you are right. They produced those, and like no one's buying frigging penguins in a million years. So that was never going to happen. Michael has said, good to see Michael joining the show. Remove every character, but Catwoman, she was excellent in that. And I think even by today's standards, when people say, name an excellent Catwoman in live action, Michelle Pfeiffer's version is at the top, if not close to the top. So, she was excellent and was really good. It's one of the reasons why I love the movie, because her interaction with Batman and Bruce Wayne was outstanding. So, very, very cool. Yes, we had a wall of stuff back in the day. Yes, they did merchandise it to the max, but it was a film that, in hindsight, probably wasn't going to work from a collectible point of view because, as you said, it wasn't really aimed at kids, and yet the toys were kid-focused. So There you go. Joe likes the Penguin Commandos. Yes, indeedy doody didy. So, and in fact, you had them in the store not that long ago because I remember standing them little bastards up, which is particularly cool.
Do you remember there were a couple of the real Penguin Commandos and the Penguins wind-up toys at Planet Hollywood in the casino?
Oh, geez, I can't remember. That's decades ago.
Yeah,
but it wouldn't surprise me. So
they were some of my favorite things to look at, actually.
Good stuff. And of course, you got some of the statues as well. What I found interesting is the Batman in the middle right there has got the 89 logo on his chest, which I thought was kind of interesting. But anyway, continue on.
Yeah, so I do think out of all the Batman movies, it is one that has aged very well, especially with collectors. And collectors have been well served by different companies, be it Hot Toys or NECA or Blitzway, which is some of the figures here. The Hot Toys Batman Returns, Batman Bruce Wayne double pack is one of my favorite Hot Toy sets that ever came out. The Blitzway Catwoman is one of the nicest statues I think they've ever produced, and it does look dead on Michelle Pfeiffer. And then the Penguin, even though he is a grotesque figure, it makes a really amazing action figure when you've got something like that the artists can really latch on to the caricature of the Penguin that they put on Danny DeVito. So you've got a couple of the really big ones down the bottom loose there, and then you've got the NECA one on the bottom right there as well. So if you were a Batman Returns collector, it's not so much the quantity of the toys that were released at the moment. The quality is off the chart. Like out of all the Batman movies, it would be the one that I'd say, okay, I'm going to get all the Batman Returns. And you could put a really amazing display together with just a couple of pieces.
You are right about the Penguin. Danny DeVito's Penguin was outstandingly good. I like this one. Yes, I am an animal. So he has that quote. It says, I am not a human being. I am an animal. Yes, which is very, very groovy. Guys made a point of saying, surprised by Batman pop. In general, I thought Rorschach, which is from Watchmen, would always be more like Batman, but I guess he might be a little obscure when it comes to superheroes. Yeah, fair enough. I just like the Rorschach comment from Watchmen, which is particularly cool. The Penguin in that, aside from the bit at the end when he carks it and the Penguins do the funeral thing, I thought that was completely stupid, but his characterization was absolutely fantastic. So, yes.
And everyone forgets.
Your nose could be gushing blood. Sorry, dude.
Sorry, everyone forgets that you had Max Schreck in it, who was, of course, the incredible Christopher Walken, which, when you think about it, that movie was loaded with amazing villains, wasn't it?
Well, it's funny because Max Schreck, the character's name, is actually the name of the actor who played Nosferatu in Nosferatu way back in 1920, whatever it was, 22, I think it was. So there you go. How's that for a small bit of nerdy trivia for you? So, but yes, with the Batman Returns, they did a mark of the books and the mags.
Yeah, and you can see the first one there, Batman Returns, like a Christmas book. So it has always been considered as sort of one of the more Christmassy superhero stories. There were a lot of stuff that came out. I loved the whole marketing campaign for Batman Returns with the white bat logo in the snow and sort of the darker and more colder aspects. And on top of that, you had the colorful characters. So I think it was a winner. It was just not as big a winner at the time it came out as it should have been.
Totally agree with you. But fortunately, it did come out, it did succeed, and it pushed up, a lot of buttons for the fans. And you and I were that indeed. All right, so we go completely different direction now. But of course, it's still a Chrissy movie, and it occurs obviously Chrissy Eve because it's obviously the Nightmare Before Christmas.
Now, this is an interesting one because out of all the movies we're looking at, this one far and away has the most merchandise and merchandising to do with it. When I first saw this movie, I would not have picked this movie had the legs that it has and would still be a beloved classic 30 years later and still producing store loads of merchandise at the Disney store. It was always a good movie, but when I originally saw it, I did not see the magic that a lot of people have seen it and have made it into a cult classic. I always thought it, like I said, I always thought it was good. I could just not imagine, still it is beloved and still people love it and more merchandise comes out. Do you remember seeing this when it came out? Did you think it was as good as everyone seems to, hold it up in esteem?
No, I never got around to seeing it. And I saw it was on a streaming service recently. And I thought, I've got to see that before tonight. And I didn't get around to it. So I missed it. And you are right, because you've actually got a whole section devoted to Nightmare Before Christmas in your store. In one of the glass cabinets, which is very cool. It's a very popular thing too. Is something I didn't know. William said the subtitles are about 3 seconds ahead of your words. I didn't know we had subtitles. Is there like, I mean, I can't imagine something trying to subtitle me. That would not be a fun job for any someone sitting there typing all this crap out. I assume it's automated. I have no idea how that works. Sorry, William, no idea, dude.
Must be an automated feature that you have.
All right. So if that's the case, I want to see how your subtitle is. Zarking Fardwaks and Slutty Bartfast. Let's see how your subtitles work. That and my snorts from earlier on. What the Dags in brackets snorts.
Yeah.
Very, very good. Michael said, where was the merch for Santa Claus Conquers the Martians? That was hours ago, dude. You've come in really, really late, but there was no merchandise for it, aside from, I think it was one book or a poster or something like that. No, one record, that's what you said.
Comic and a record. Comic and a record, yeah.
Very, very good. Good stuff. All right, but you are right. I mean, look at all the stuff they produced for this one movie.
So this is currently available stuff, or sort of the more contemporary stuff. There is more stuff being produced for this now than when the movie originally came out. When it originally came out, we didn't even get the merchandise in Australia because it wasn't popular enough to be deemed importable. So I do remember the original figures being sort of imported by people who had stores like Just Collectables or Chapel Street Bazaar, and the figures going for hundreds of dollars each because they were just rare here. But you can see there are entire shops in Disneyland that are just dedicated to Nightmare Before Christmas stuff. So it is a huge money spinner for them. And it is one of those things that works as a double holiday because it works at Halloween and it works at Christmas as well.
Yeah, beat me to it. I was about to say that. I said, just look, a lot of this could look like Halloween-related material more than anything else. And of course, there was a follow-up movie too, wasn't there? See, in the Nightmare Before Christmas, there's something else that's done in the same style.
The Corpse Bride.
That's it. That's what I was thinking of too. So some of these things I've actually seen in your store, believe it or not.
So these are the original ones that came out when the movie was released back in the 90s or the 80s. And these are the original figures that we didn't get here, but you could get imported. And of course, these are the ones that go for a bit of money now because everyone likes the first edition. And they were good figures. They are a bastard to get to stand because they have the spindly legs and things like that. But you're right, Applause did a series of figures, and that was one of the few things you could get here. You could get a few things, but in general, it was quite hard to get. They were in specialty shops like Minotaur rather than What's New and Granny May that often would get some of the import stuff that was nowhere else. So these ones are always popular and always go for a bit when they turn up. They're incredibly hard to find carded in Australia like that because they just weren't released here.
So why do you think they merchandise this movie so much? What was the attraction? The Tim Burton element, or just the characters were just really good for visually, or what?
I think there was 10 years where there was no merchandise for this movie and it developed into a cult. And then you'd have something like Disney would release the snow globe of it and it would sell out instantly. And they go, oh, hang on, there's a bit of an audience here. Because if you look at Disney and you have their franchises, what they merchandise, you've got your Mickey Mouses and your Disney princesses. They don't really have anything goth or gothic or like this. And so for people who like Disney but also have that different darker aesthetic, it's like the Addams Family or something. And they produce something and it sells out instantly. And I think that's what they've done with this. They've turned it into the alternate Disney merchandise for people who don't like the Disney princesses.
It's kind of funny, isn't it? Sometimes you just can't predict these things. You have all these different products and you go, well, let's just merchandise this, and it dies in the arse. And you go, let's just pick this really obscure one-off thing, and it just explodes. And you have all these bean counters trying to do the root cause analysis of why this really, really popular film franchise failed, whereas this one-off movie succeeded. And sometimes you just can't work it out. And you go, well, what's the appeal? And you think, okay, well, if the appeal is this, then let's try and replicate that. And of course, if you try and replicate it, it doesn't work. So sometimes the formula, you can't figure it out. But
yeah,
anyway,
well, that's what happened with The Corpse Bride, where they really did try to replicate the success of Nightmare Before Christmas. And people like it, but not at the same level as Nightmare Before Christmas.
I think it's all to do with timing. It's just the right place at the right time. And here's the final picture you wanted to put in.
Yeah, and so this is just some of the behind-the-scenes stuff that we haven't looked at in any of the other stuff. But I just think because it's a stop motion, it does warrant a look, and you can see it, the skill and the size of the things. And the stop motion armature pieces do go for a lot of money. They have turned up on the secondary market, and to get Nightmare Before Christmas stuff is really sought after by collectors. So if you do ever see any of it around, you can expect to pay quite a lot for an original screen-used piece.
It's a good comment from Christy. Nightmare Before Christmas and Haunted Mansion sell better than Princess stuff because it's a different cute.
Yeah.
That's yes, I would agree with that. So you probably find whatever your market is, they'll either go this way or that way. You won't find people who sort of cross in between. So you got your, I'm using simple terminology. So you got your Barbie doll collectors over there, and they also buy Nightmare Before Christmas stuff. They wouldn't have them on the same bookshelf in the bedroom, for example. That's an interesting. Yeah, okay.
I don't know if you saw our friend Sarah. She just cosplayed over last weekend Sally and did a really, really good job of it. And she was saying, or Rod was telling me that it was all Disney princesses, and she was the one who was getting the most attention because she was someone a bit different from what everybody else sees. So there definitely is a group of people who gravitate to that kind of aesthetic and that kind of, it's almost a mood, the Tim Burton stuff, isn't it?
Yes. Joe said the nightmare market is all adults. Yeah, good point. Yeah, okay. It's a tricky one, but it's clearly it works, and good on it too. And I guess one thing about the Nightmare Before Christmas stuff, when you see it, you know exactly what it's from. You know, sometimes you'll see a product and you go, oh, this could be from this movie or this TV show or whatever. And Nightmare, all the stuff just looks like it's from that. You can't confuse it. So, and as we said, you've got a decent section in your glass cabinets. And when people walk in and go, have you got any Nightmare stuff? You go, yep, it's right there. Can't miss it. So it's very, very cool. Now, one thing you got to ask about, what do you call it? Collectibles for movies. All right, so we saw some really cool stuff. We've got Batman Returns and Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. And of course, when Aaron asked me about some really good Christmas movies, I thought, you know what? I've not actually seen this one, but I remember when it came out. I thought, mate, it should have been a massive hit, a massive success. I know it did really, really well in the video libraries. And of course, you know it was a damn good movie because it was banned in Queensland. It had to be the old Silent Night, Deadly Night.
So this is one of those things that you're probably not going to be surprised. There isn't a lot of merchandise for it at all. The merchandise associated it is the controversy when it opened. People picketed the show. It was banned in America. It was given X-rated certificate for the violence, but more to do with the whole vibe. I think a lot of the people who were complaining about it would never have seen the movie. They were just like horrified that a movie that was about a serial killer slasher with an axe was a Santa Claus movie. And they missed the point totally. You're not trying to get kids to go and see this movie. It's for adult horror fans. Silent Night, Deadly Night, it's a middling horror movie for me. I don't think it's amazing. It's not terrible either. Number 2 is terrible, where they basically re-show half of the first movie. So you've never seen this?
Oh, no. I just remember seeing the video cover. The cover was awesome. It had Santa Claus carrying an axe, and I go, oh, that's it. With Silent Night, Deadly Night. I thought, what an ingenious, absolutely ingenious name. It's a way of combining something that is all lovable for kids and just taking the horror element and putting it right in there. And I thought, oh, that's ingenious. Oh, I didn't want to see it. I thought, I don't want to have my expectations ruined. I just want to just live on that image and what everybody said about it and just stick with that, because I thought a brilliant, brilliant name. Definitely not going to see this at Carol's by Candlelight playing in the background.
This is what I'm working with, faithful viewers. I tell Dags to send me through his favourite Christmas movies, and he sends one he's never seen. That's because you're a horror.
I don't need to see it. The name is good enough for me. So there you go.
That's because you're a horror wuss. Admit it. You don't watch horror movies.
Nah. Anyway, get on with it.
Anyway, you can get the original poster, and it is a hard poster to find because it was a horror movie, so it wasn't a huge marketing campaign. They have actually made comic books of Silent Night, Deadly Night. You can see in the middle there, they're up to number 6 or 7. There's all the different Silent Night, Deadly Night movies. I only remember 1, 2, and 3. I particularly remember 3 for some reason. I don't remember the other ones too well. And there's some of the different video releases and DVD releases there too. So it is a franchise that's had legs. I think it is one of those that is a cult classic rather than a mainstream horror. There aren't a lot of people that would own it, apart from maybe William was saying that he did. It is one I don't recall ever seeing on TV. I don't know if it's ever been shown on TV.
No, don't think so. I don't know if you can see the top of the poster way up here. I like to the movie. This is why it would sell. The movie that went too far, that so outraged Hollywood, the government, and parents everywhere. It's so bad. People have to see, because that's where the publicity comes from. That's why they said on the video cover. It was, it's good because it was banned in Queensland. So of course people are going to hire it and say, well, if it's so bad, I've got to go and check it out. It's like absolutely ingenious. So if it hadn't have got all that publicity, it probably would have just come and gone and no one would have given a shit about it, right? We wouldn't even be talking about it today, but it did. And with that in mind, actually, here's some really funky stuff that goes with it, Mr. Aaron.
So I am wondering if William has this version. They released a deluxe Blu-ray or DVD set that actually came with the figure from the movie, which is a pretty cool bonus to get with a DVD set. And it also came with a replica of the poster. And someone at the moment has a Kickstarter up on GoFundMe or one of those for making a Silent Night, Deadly Night board game, which is an interesting concept. I don't know if it'll ever happen if there's big enough demand for it, but obviously it isn't a totally forgotten movie. It does have some fans, not one that I would probably put on every Christmas though.
Nah, it's just the gimmick. It's just the gimmick, right? That's anything. So I just thought it was very, very clever. I could see the, as you said, it's like a parody thing, a laugh, not meant to be taken seriously. So, but yes, imagine like slipping that video. Okay, kids, we're going to watch a Christmas movie, and you just put it. You've swapped the video covers, and you just stuck it in by accident. Oh, I absolutely love it. Very, very good. Sticking with movies that I've never seen. This one I had no intentions of seeing. Wasn't interested, but I know it's a bit of a popular one because everybody loves the little kiddie movies. Good old Elf, mate.
Yeah, so the one thing that surprises me about Elf is they've never cheapened it by making a sequel, because this is obviously one of those movies that was really successful and they could have. And I think that's probably a good thing, because Elf is one of those Christmas movies that even people that don't like Christmas movies do find funny, and it is good. It is one of Will Ferrell's better movies, and it is one of those movies that there are some movies when they're on TV and you kind of see a scene, you get hooked and you stop and watch the whole thing, and Elf is one of those movies which tends to say to me it's a good movie when it'll do that, because with videos and streaming services and stuff, you don't need to really watch stuff on TV anymore, especially if you've got it on DVD. But it is one of those that you can watch, works for all ages, and is just a good-hearted movie. So bar humbug to you for not watching it.
According to the audience, they have a completely different opinion. Yeah, Kill Buddy and then me, yuck. Weak movie, I hated this movie and would rather watch the Star Wars Holiday Special. Cop that, dude. How's that? And then good old Phil's gone, Elf. Yeah, so there you go. 1 for 4, so there you go. Not good, dude.
There you go. Okay, then. Well, there's some of the merchandise for Elf. Obviously, no one cares.
Love it. So there you go. Oh, what do you reckon? Yes. Can you imagine wearing those boxer shorts around the place, dude?
I was going to get the those and put your face on them like the shirt we've had, and the Rider of the Week could actually wear them when they come into the shop.
And then I'd be seeing you like, dude, why do you keep playing with your crutch? Oh, I could make some terrible jokes about that, but geez, it'd be funny. There you go. Very, very good. And because the worst part would be people coming and saying, mate, don't give me the shirt. I'd like to try on the boxer shorts, please, if you don't mind.
You've got to do both, the shirt and the boxer shorts. So exactly there you go. I think we've got one more slide for Elf.
Yes, you have.
They've even released Elf wrapping paper, like and Elf t-shirts and other Elf stuff. But yep, you can see from that bottom picture there that Elf is ball-tearingly good.
Very good. All right. So it wasn't a hit for our fans, but this one definitely would be. It is definitely a Christmas movie set at Christmas time. Everybody loved it. If they released it in Russia, it'd be called Kremlins, but they didn't. It was released in America, so it's Gremlins.
And stuff constantly surprises me. And something about this I'd never realized before until I was putting this segment together. And we've talked about Gremlins before. I did not realize the advanced poster had the Mogwai coming soon. And then when the movie came out, it had a picture of a gremlin bursting through the advanced poster going, "We're here." And I thought that's an amazing advertising campaign. And I never realized it until today. Had you ever noticed that, Dags?
Is you sure that's not a re-release or something from later on? Because that's a spoiler if they've got the actual gremlin sticking out of the box.
No.
Because the idea is you're not meant to know what's in the box.
No, that's an original poster, and they also re-released that poster again with "We're Back," not for Gremlins 2, but for when Gremlins was released a year later in the cinema. So yeah, they had the advanced poster was just the box, and then when it was actually released, they actually put the gremlin bursting out of the poster, and I thought that was quite a smart advertising campaign.
Yeah, okay. I would have thought that'd be classed as like a bit of a spoiler because people weren't meant to know what was actually in there. And of course, when you see the Mogwai and then later on, or you see Gizmo and then the gremlins pop out, that's all like, oh my God, I didn't see that coming. But if you put it in the poster, it kind of ruins it. So it's a bit like when they released the video for Planet of the Apes original 1968 movie and you got the friggin' Statue of Liberty stuck on the stand. It's like, dude, that's a friggin' the mega spoiler of the universe. And that was on the cover of the video, you friggin' dickheads. So,
Yeah.
not that I'm bitter about that, but anyway.
There you go. Yeah, they did actually release a
Oh,
lot of merchandise for Gremlins. Wearing Gremlins shirt right now. I
okay.
haven't got the Gremlins show bag up here, but there was one. But there was a bit of Gremlins merchandise released when Gremlins came out. We didn't get a lot of it in Australia. A kid.
Well, that's exactly right, Christy. He was too young to take care of the pet. So, yes. Sorry, go on,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah, so we didn't get a lot of Gremlins merchandise in Australia. I do remember at the time a couple of the LGN solid figures, and that was about it. The Barbie car does turn up here with Gizmo in, so that must have been released here, but I don't remember seeing it at the time. But you can see in America there was quite an advertising blitz with different merchandise, and you got clothes and bed sheets and posters and caps, T-shirts, Gremlins trading cards, Gremlins candy. It had a really big advertising campaign and a large amount of merchandise, which sort of we missed here. Gremlins is one of those franchises, though, that has become sort of a crossover franchise where adults collect the new high-end figures because it's a beloved movie from their childhood. And you would see working in the shop, we get Gremlins through, and they all go pretty fast.
Yeah, actually, it was like a month ago. We had a couple of Gizmos, Christmas ones. They actually had the hat on and everything. And they were a bit old and beat up and a bit dirty, but they ended up selling, which was particularly groovy.
Yeah.
And I tend to agree with you. Interesting. Apparently, it was misleading for parents at the time trapped into watching a horror movie. When you sit and think about it, Gremlins can be interpreted as a horror film because when the Gremlins come out, they're doing some pretty nasty stuff, and they obviously tried to put the cutesy factor in to try and tone it down. But they could have made it really nasty if they wanted to. You can imagine these little dudes running around just killing people and doing horrible things. So, yeah, I can kind of
I
get that.
saw that. I do know my mum took us to see that. She likes horror movies, which was lucky because I do remember when they've got the mum putting the gremlin in the microwave and in the food blender and stuff. That was too much for some kids.
Yeah, because it just, even though it was green blood, it was just going everywhere. So it was a bit nuts. So they had to try and make it a bit more funny, like the flasher and all that sort of stuff. But
Yeah.
very good.
Now, NECA is the ones that have the Gremlins franchise rights now, and they do produce a lot of Gremlin stuff. And they have tapped into this thing where they try and release everything from the Gremlins universe. So they've done, as Dag said, the Flasher Gremlins and the Carol singing Gremlins, and they've done from Gremlins to the Spider Gremlins and the Bat Gremlin and some of these other variants that they come out. And what they've done by that is making it into a franchise because in the first movie, all the Gremlins were exactly the same except for Stripe and Gizmo. But in the second movie, they realized, if we make all these different ones, there's a whole lot of different toys. And NECA has done that where they've made it into a franchise where you don't just need Gizmo and Stripe and that you have to collect them all because there's all these different Gremlins. But you know what? I think it's actually quite good. They don't release them every month. There's maybe a couple of new ones every 6 months and people can keep on top with it. And they're at a scale where they have a lot of accessories and they're really nice looking. So when you display them, Gremlins is a good collection to have, especially the new NECA stuff.
You could almost argue, ask people, say, what exactly is your favorite, the Gremlin or the Mogwai Gremlin? Yeah, because it's the almost completely different characters, and then would have to be people say, oh no, I much prefer the Gremlin side, or some people would much prefer the Mogwai side, or whether they sort of mix, which I think is unlikely. But it's be an interesting sort of discussion to have with people to say which one do they sort of prefer. Ads has asked, what about making the blender? You could actually manufacture the Gremlins blender by itself. I reckon that'd be kind of interesting to see how it goes. But yes, very, very good. And that actually brings us, believe it or not, to the end of the show. What do you reckon there, Mr. Aron?
Yeah, so just a thank you for our audience this year for sticking with us through the year, and hope everyone has a happy and safe Christmas and has enjoyed talking about Christmas movies with us tonight.
Oh, excuse me. Yes, how about that? So 43 episodes in, and we've finally got to the end of it all. Yay, team! It is Christmas time on Sunday, I think it is.
I think
Which
I
is
think I want to try something, Dags, that we've never tried before. Can we
what, you
touch?
being funny?
No, can we touch balls?
Oh, hang on. Where's my ball? There you go. Woo,
Ah,
woo, 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 woo. Actually, move
well,
yours across. I can't believe we're doing this. Move yours across. See if we can merge them into one, and you and I can be like joined at the ball.
Wonder Twin powers activate.
Oh yeah, mother can tell us apart. How freaking stupid is that? So there you go. Very, very good. All these people are sad that we're finishing up. Look at this. Oh, it's like, oh no, it's the end. And it's like, oh no, 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 no. Waiting for someone to just say, yeah, how about you just get off? So
Are we coming back next year?
I don't know. You and I will have to have a chat about. Well, plenty to talk about on Saturday. So don't forget Christmas Eve on the store on Saturday. Be sure to pop on in and pay us a visit and give us a chat while you're in the midst of spending a shitload of dollars in the store for the last minute. Crispy items have been absolutely fantastic, which is particularly cool. And hopefully everybody's enjoyed themselves and enjoyed our entertainment throughout the year. And hopefully you've learned something, which is the most important thing. So we also tried to sort of like teach people things as well as encouraging conversation and discussion. Any final words before we sign off for the night, Mr. Aron, and for the year?
You better not tell people it's educational. We'll lose half of our audience.
That is a very, very good point. Exactly right. Don't forget, if you get your Christmas items, make sure you keep them. Don't even take them out of the Christmas wrapping. Gotta leave them mint in box, Mr. Aron.
Because I'm nice, I'll just say I agree with Dags.
As you should. All right, leave it to it. Everybody, party hard, rock on, and we will see you all down the track, okay? All the best. Take care. Bye-bye.
But I'll rip open my cereal cards.
No, don't.
Have a good Christmas, guys. Good night.
Right, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.